regular agenda for the month of April. So we are called to order, and we will have an invocation this evening by Alderwoman Sledge.
Creator of all things, as we begin this time together, may you give each of us wisdom and grace in our dealings with each other, with those businesses and organizations who work with us, and those others who we come in contact with today. Also, help us to see the many good things around us and the ways we can be a blessing to someone we encounter on our path. Help our words to be positive, our work to be constructive, and in the best interest of those we serve. Fill our hearts with gratitude, compassion, and peace as we strive to make this a better community and the world we live in. Amen.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, Board, you have before you your agenda for this evening. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda? And if not, is there a motion to adopt the agenda presented?
I move to adopt the agenda as presented.
Second. There's a motion by Alderwoman Sledge, a second by Mayor Pro Tem Muhammad. All in favor? All right, all opposed? The agenda is set unanimously for this evening, and we will move forward to our first item, which is recognition. And I'll turn the floor over to Alderwoman Sechrist.
Thank you. Recently, Dr. Elaine Stiller, the first and prominent North Rowan Elementary School principal, went to her heavenly home. She left a significant impact on our North Rowan community with her vision, planning, determination, and inclusion of all in the educational process. Not only her students, but her staffs and parents were benefited from knowing and working with and for her. I am honored to recognize her achievements and impact this evening, and hopefully her son Todd was going to try to be here. Is he here? Oh, I'm so glad. Thank you, Todd, for being here. Appreciate it. And your son Casey, was he able to come?
Well,
You said he might have some. He didn't know if he could get here, but we are honored. We're honored to have you here. Thank you for coming. Dr. Stiller graduated from Boyden High and continued her education at Lenore Ryan. She was a good Lutheran, followed by pursuit of both a master's and doctorate in education from UNCG. That may not sound like much of anything, but at this time, not many women educators were pursuing doctorate degrees. Now, quite a few had masters, but most women were staying in the classroom and didn't want to do the whole thing with the school. But Dr. Stiller was a trailblazer. She was a trailblazer for educators and showed what could be achieved through vision combined with a solid plan. Her professional career began as a first-grade teacher across the river in Lexington. She returned to Rowan County when her father was tragically killed in a truck accident. At a young age, she took on the responsibility of being her family's main provider with his death. She followed a career path in Rowan County of teaching in the classroom, then became a teaching supervisor, assistant principal, and when North Rowan Elementary School opened in 1974, she was named principal. This was a big deal to get a big, brand new consolidated elementary school built here in Spencer. She played a pivotal role in designing, opening, and leading at North Rowan Elementary School. She introduced the first open classroom in the county, collaborating with all stakeholders, including teachers, custodians, bus drivers, cafeteria workers, even students, maintenance staff, and parents. She understood the importance of building an organization from the ground up, saying people support what they help create. I've always said a good principal could be a good representative or senator in Washington, or even in the White House, because they have so many management skills that people do not realize they have. While she was doing this, she gave to her community and professional organizations through her work with Delta Kappa Gamma, the NCAE, which is the National Association of Educators, the Rowan Democratic Party, Salisbury Planning Board, and the Lutheran Church. In short, she was a woman ahead of her time in most things that she did. I was just a young beginning teacher in my 20s in the 70s, and I was in awe of her. Because as I said, you didn't see a lot of female principals in Rowan County or anywhere in the state. There weren't a lot of female principals in the 70s, and women tended to stay in the background, but not Dr. Stiller. She stepped up and out to make the world better. Dr. Stiller was known for her leadership, her vision, intelligence, combined with kindness, strength, and support. She touched numerous lives in our area. We honor her legacy as a life well lived. I wish to close with a tribute from Spencer native Marcia Jamel Wood, who had the privilege of working with and for Dr. Stiller at North Rowan Elementary School for many years. Marcia writes, Dr. Stiller was the absolute best. She was kind and loving to all, staff and students. She respected all and supported all. She was also very inventive and did whatever it took to give the students what they needed to be successful. She started the year-round school, which was so great for all students. We went to school for approximately 9 weeks and then would have a 3-week break, but it really wasn't a break. The students that needed remediation came to school for a full week of remediation and tutoring. During one of those 3 weeks, a week of enhancements was offered to students who were interested. These enhancements included field trips and extra special activities that are not normally offered in the regular curriculum for lack of time. Then there was 1 week of vacation. In my opinion, this was a very valuable educational experience. I was working in fast track at North Rowan Middle School, and we adopted the year-round school process too, and it worked very well for us, so I can definitely back that up. It also eliminated the 10 weeks of no school with no instruction this summer. Many students suffer academically with a long summer break. Then we also had a multi-age suite. It included a kindergarten class, a first grade class, a second grade class, and an EC class of these grades. I was the EC teacher. It was valuable for all of these children. There may be a kindergarten student who was reading on a first grade level. Maybe one of the second graders needed second grade reading but first grade math. My EC students may have been a second grader but really needed first grade instruction. All of these students benefited by getting the instruction they needed. We placed them where they needed to be. Such a great idea. We also had a big vegetable garden. This taught great life skills, and the students had the pleasure of taking some of the vegetables home. Then we had a butterfly garden where they could experience the beauty of butterflies and see the life cycle of butterflies firsthand. Patty, I could go on forever, but these are the main things that I remember. Needless to say, Dr. Stiller was such a blessing to so many students. So I'd like for us to give her a round of applause. Thank you, Pop, for sharing this.
Have y'all got it in?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What Patty said is true. This message is mostly for you as a board. The things about that school were big. But what I would say to you is one of the things you want to carry with you as a board. People support what they help create. The custodians, the bus drivers, the teachers, she talked to everybody.
Sure did.
So this was not 12 or so of y'all meeting at the grocery store and coming to an agreement on what you want to do. This is y'all coming out here and talking to every one of you, and in reverse for you too. Talking to them and letting them know, well, we think this works or this doesn't. I'll give you one other story too. Don't ever be afraid to make those kinds of relationships and that you need to have to continue on. She was very good friends with Clyde Miller and Buddy Higgins. Okay? So that kind of working together led things to be better as a whole, for the whole community. So, when you're talking to people, you want to make sure that you're getting that all out there. I'll give you one other little story. Mom knew, she could even name you the student when she saw them or their parents. So, the thing about that is, as we had back in March, there was a snowstorm one day. Well, Wayne County school system, we've got to go home. Us is slipping and sliding, getting in trouble, getting in the ditch, that kind of thing. Well, Mom was well aware of that. She used people at the bus garage, people that didn't route, all that kind of stuff. But the other thing she knew was that some of those children in that school, that was the only meal they were going to eat. She rounded up that cafeteria staff. She said, let's get on. And they fed those children before they went home. So don't be afraid to exert your authority where you can to get things done beyond yourself. Thank you all for having me.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Sechrist, and I think it just goes to prove we've got lots of innovation that happens with education here in North Rowan, so thank you. All right, we will move on now to a public hearing. We have a public hearing for the closeout of our Community Development Block Grant in our grant number 19-C-3140. This is the grant that we are wrapping up for neighborhood revitalization through a variety of housing renovations. And so, Mr. Harris, we'll invite you forward to speak before we open the hearing.
All right, good evening. So I am just going to provide a few comments before the public hearing to sort of contextualize what this public hearing is. So of course, back about 5 years ago now, the town received $750,000 from the North Carolina Department of Commerce to spend on the Community Development Block Grant Neighborhood Revitalization Program. And up to this point now, we have expended all of the funds that we're going to expend. And as part of the closeout process for the grant, there are several procedural steps which need to be taken both now and in the coming weeks before we can actually formally close out that grant. One of those procedural steps tonight is a public hearing where we will invite the public to provide any feedback or comments that they would like to provide on that CDBG program. We did advertise this public hearing in the Salisbury Post, which is the required sort of distribution method for this public notice. I did not receive any written submitted comments prior to tonight. I do believe we have at least one other person to speak during the public hearing, but I wanted to provide some data for you as we sort of close out this process. One thing I want to point out is that this procedural closeout public hearing does not necessarily constitute the full closeout process. So I am still planning on reporting back to the Board of Aldermen a more comprehensive report, as well as providing information to our Housing Selection Committee on the outcomes and beneficiaries of the past 5 years. So tonight is truly just a procedural step. Over the past several years through this program, we've been able to provide 3 households with significant major repairs to deteriorating conditions in their homes. So of the 3 households who we were able to support, all 3 of those households were elderly households. 2 of the 3 households that were assisted included permanently disabled persons with significant physical mobility limitations, which required extensive accessibility-related improvements as part of the work. One of those assisted households was a limited English proficiency household, basically meaning that the household did not speak proficient English, and so we had to get some translation services involved throughout part of that process. The completed projects involved substantial rehabilitation of severely deteriorated owner-occupied housing and required significant corrective work to address major deficiencies affecting safe occupancy. The resulting rehabilitation work was not limited to general repair, but included substantial improvements related to accessibility, structural stability, building systems, health and safety, and long-term housing preservation. As a result, I'm happy to share that the program materially improved safety, accessibility, livability, and long-term habitability for those high-need owner-occupant households. So the total reimbursed expenditures for this program were $587,217. About 90.7% was spent on physical construction costs, rehabilitation, and other project delivery costs, and around 9.3% was spent on administration. So this was very much not an administration-heavy grant. More than 9/10 of the reimbursed grant funds went directly to rehabilitation and construction costs. I do want to just reiterate again that we did initially hope to accomplish more projects throughout this grant. When we initially applied, we were very ambitiously stating that we would basically help 10 households. The problem with that is that with construction costs and the various economic pressures that we've been facing over the past several years, the cost of construction simply far outpaced our ability to perform for the number of households we initially imagined. We also went through a very careful process to select households who genuinely needed a lot of help. So we essentially selected 4 those households that were going to be the most expensive projects for us to deliver. I think if we had used a different approach, and if we had perhaps tried to help maybe a greater number of households, we would not have been able to do the amount of work that we were able to do for these 3 households. So I do think, in general, we can be very proud of the accomplishments that we made, because we did make significant improvements for those 3 households who we helped. I did include in my staff report what's called Addendum B1, which is the work scope and benefit analysis. This goes through much more detail on the 3 projects that we were able to accomplish, including the specific scope of work, the work write-up that we were able to accomplish at those properties. But a review of the work write-ups indicates that the most significant project scopes involved accessibility construction and mobility improvements, including ramps, a vertical lift, widened doors and openings, grab bars, and accessible bathing facilities. Structural and subfloor repair, including replacement of deteriorated joists, girders, rim, band, sill members, wall framing, porch framing, and foundation elements. We also did extensive roof drainage and exterior building repair, including full roof replacement, guttering, downspouts, underground drainage, siding replacement, etc. We also did extensive plumbing, electrical, and HVAC upgrades in all 3 houses, including, where needed, new piping, fixture replacement, circuits, exhaust ventilation, lighting, heating and cooling, etc. Then, of course, we made extensive health and safety related corrective work, including lead hazard reductions, termite treatment, vapor barrier installation, code required detectors, and related compliance work. So that addendum goes into much more detail into all three projects, but I wanted to sort of identify the main types of work that we were doing. Well, I believe with all that being said, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to the public hearing.
All right, thank you, Mr. Harris. Any questions from Mr. Harris before we open the public hearing? Okay. All right, we will open the public hearing at this time. We have one individual signed up to speak, and we'll invite Mr. Bob Bish forward. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak for this public hearing?
Just one.
Okay. All right, Mr. Bish, as a reminder, if you will, just state your address for your name and address for the record.
Yeah, Bob Bish, 400 North Yadkin.
And then you'll have 3 minutes.
Board, mayor, staff. Gotta put these on. My comments, in fact, I was asked whether, when I'm speaking, whether I'm for or against. And I said, why can't I be both? I've always been for Spencer improvement and against things that would deter from that. And there were some comments that I wanted to make in regards to the CDBG grant. Notwithstanding the accomplishments that Kyle was able to do of a difficult program, I didn't like, especially I like the fact that the money was not fully used. We had an opportunity to use $750,000, and possibly with some rethought, we probably could have gotten a lot more done. One thing that threw everything into a loop was the fact that as part of the grant, they were looking for code compliant reconstruction, basically. So that more than just slapdash paint, shutters, and all that stuff. They really wanted code compliant. Anything that wouldn't pass code, they wouldn't approve. So when initially the committee, the site selection committee, had intended to have possibly 10 houses worked on, where the average amount of money thrown into a house would be somewhere around $65,000. Instead, when those numbers came back, they were double, almost triple the amount. So we wound up spending over $150,000 per household, and that wasn't good. So possibly, as recommendation to the board, is that if we seek grants, we try to seek grants for projects that suit what Spencer really needs. And I think I thought the intent of the program was basically to have like a showcase where you can tell the government what you would do if somebody gave you $750,000. What would you do with your housing? And we got back to them and saying, well, we can do 3, but they're all code compliant. I did have a conversation with Kyle just before the hearing started in regards to inclusion of the committee in more aspects of the project, whereas the site collection committee only designated which units, which properties were going to be rehabbed, and Kyle was our only individual, I think, working with the board out of Salisbury to provide any type of input as far as how things can get done in Spencer. Which brings me to one of the third points, is I think we should begin to look into having our own housing development agency within the town of Spencer, instead of relying on Salisbury to send people to do that for us.
Mr.
and-
Bishop, let me remind you that your time is up, so if you can just quickly wrap up, please.
All right, don't use no more. I got it. Because on my last step, I think that there should be some type of way for the board to come together to find other ways to improve the grant that we got, the $750. Well, that's going back. So once you give it back, it's hard to get any more money from them when they see that you haven't used it all the first time. But try to find a way to improve how you can get grants to work specifically for your particular town. So that's all I wanted to say.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Bish, and thanks for your involvement with that process. We appreciate you. All right. And as we don't have any others signed up for public comment or for public hearing comment at this point, we will take a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Motion to close by Mr. Muhammad,
Second.
second by Ms. Moody. All in favor? All right, all opposed? And the hearing is closed. All right, next item on our agenda is our public comment, and we're going to invite Mr. Bish back up. We'll give him 2 minutes this time. No, I'm kidding.
When you're away, and all of a sudden you can get a double dab at work.
We're glad you're back.
Anyway, I'll try to make this fast. There are basically 3 areas of concern, and I'll try to use less than a minute for each of them. The first one is in regards to the cell phone tower that's on the agenda for today. I'm not comfortable with the lease that was prepared for the town to sign, where the only reimbursement that the town is getting is a $1,200 a month rental with for the first 5 years, and then the next 20 years you get $1,200 plus a 3% increase on each time. Basically, what's happening with the cell phone towers is that they are leasing it to an individual who will in turn seek to get Verizon, T-Mobile, blah, 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 and whatnot, to come to his tower, to lease the tower. So we're not looking at any of that income, and I think we should. I think the lease should be prepared where we get a sort of like some type of rider or some type of extra benefit from the other people who will be renting the towers. And that's one. My second item was in regards to development up by Long Ferry Road and other areas along that road, or in or about the town of Spencer. I did have some conversations with staff and the mayor in regards to this, where I think anything that impacts our region, which that has a great impact on our region, I think we should be involved. I was basically made to understand that this is a county decision, and that we have no fight in that, and I disagree with that. I think that if we are concerned about how our town is impacted, whether it's a data center, whether it's a prison, whether it's a detention center, or whatever, anything on that scale of an impact, I think it will have some effect on the town of Spencer. And I think we need to not bury our heads in the sand and say, well, it's not in the town of Spencer. I don't think we need to worry about that. We have nothing to say in that regards. And that's the same people that said that we shouldn't fight wars in Vietnam or whatever. So I think we need to
Thank
pay
you,
attention.
Mr. Bish.
That's 3 minutes?
That's 3 minutes, yes, sir.
Okay. The last one was the condition of the roads and getting more money from the state.
Thank you.
That was my last one.
I'd love for you to go to Raleigh with me to ask them for more money. I keep telling them they need to give us more. So
Hey, if you
write
want-
your
if you want
legislators.
somebody to go- if you
Write
want
your
somebody to go to
legislators
Raleigh
and
for
tell
you,
them.
I'll go. I'll squeeze some necks and I'll get some.
Thank you, sir.
He'd be persistent.
All right, next is Leslie Talbot.
Boy, how do I follow that up?
I am sure, Leslie, you will find a way.
Ooh, I'm not sure if that's a compliment or a challenge.
It's a compliment,
I
Leslie.
know. Okay, start the clock. Here we go. I'm going to work backwards. I wrote my notes in one direction, decided to deliver it differently. We are sharing with you what we as the Historic Preservation Commission are doing to educate and to broaden awareness for the historic district and the people of our town. The first thing is we're collecting family stories, the people who live in Spencer who have stories to tell about back in the railroad or going to the local country store to get ice cream. We want the apocryphal stories. They are very marketable books to help us generate some revenue so we can help the town without having to ask for more money. So we have now a post office box. It's P.O. Box 45, which is, I think, the generic one. But please put care of Historic Preservation, Spencer, and it will come to us. Put it in an envelope, seal it, and we will pick it up daily. And we'll start putting it together. It's not going to happen in one day. It's going to take a year probably before we can have a good one. And number two, I want to throw in, next week, we will be having our first class. The name of the class is How We Got Here From There. On the reader board, it's going to say Spencer, then, now, and now. It's on the 19th. It's from 2 to 4 at the Dial Museum. If you want to bring stories, you can bring them. Everyone is invited. There will be refreshments because if I offer food, I know more people will come just to see what we feed them. I can give you the background. We have a special speaker, Larry Niels. He's published several books with the Transportation Museum, and he is going to link the development of the Transportation Museum and the impact as the town started with 22 pup tents on the common green, and it turned into the Spencer we know and love today. At least I know and love today. I'm going to leave that up to you. If there are any quick questions, you've got exactly 50 seconds to ask me. And I'll charge you 50 cents too.
Leslie, I think that's a great idea. I mean, I like the collecting stories. There's so much, I think, beyond just even books that we can do with that.
Yes.
I think I would love to see, us to have, whether it's a story walk in Standback Forest that talks about our history,
We could have,
or even displays throughout our town that talk about that.
there
would be
are
great.
some really great ideas that we have seen in other towns.
Yeah.
Barbara has got some brilliant ideas because she travels more than I do. But we are excited about it. We could even do live readings like that you hear, they read the plays without stage and sitting in chairs. We could do those things. I'm perfectly capable of converting stories into theater. Heck, I do it every day with my life.
Well,
Thank you, guys.
thank you very much. I think, our stories from our past are, one of the things that are so easily lost that being able to preserve in addition to our buildings is very important. So thank you.
Someone once said that every time a senior passes on, Dr. Remind us of that. We lose an entire library. And I don't want to lose libraries. I want to learn and grow from them. We had good things. We need to bring them back. The bad things we need to learn from.
Thank you. All right, board, we'll move to our consent agenda item. You have a number of things on consent agenda. Is there a reason to pull any items for further consideration? And if not, is there a motion to approve?
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
There's a motion by Ms. Sledge,
Second.
second by Ms. Stanley. All in favor? Right. All opposed? And that is approved. We will now move to item 9. We'll receive a presentation from regarding our Black Mountain software conversion from Anna Etheridge and Diane Seifert from the North Carolina League of Municipalities. Good evening, ladies.
Good evening. Good evening.
Can I just get 2 minutes? 2 minutes. So just want to thank you guys for allowing us to come tonight and talk to you just a little bit about what we've been working on together. We are from the North Carolina League of Municipalities, of which you, as the Town of Spencer, are a member. And we received back in 2022 from the American Rescue Plan funding to work with small towns in North Carolina to assist with financial software and mentorship. And we have done that here with you in Spencer. We received $25 million from the state, and that came from the federal government. Of that, $15 million was used for our software program, and 10 was used for technology, and we did some things with mentorship there and some technology pieces there as well. What this program did, what you partnered with us on, covered software cost and the conversion for 3 years. So that included your licensing, your conversion, and your maintenance cost, and assistance for 3 years. And then that means you don't owe anything for your software for 3 years, and it converts you. And then in the 4th year, you'll be responsible for picking up that cost. Our goal was to promote financial accountability and reliability by providing governmental accounting software, guidance on best financial practices, and accounting assistance to ensure year-end audit readiness. We hope that you have enjoyed the new software and that you're benefiting from it. We plan to do 40 to 60 towns with populations less than 2,500 people. It looks like now we're going to end up with about 47 towns converted by the end. And Spencer was our 30th town that converted. So I'm going to turn that over to Miss Anna now. She worked directly with your town and can give you some more information on how that worked.
Thanks, Diane. I've been dealing with a little bit of a cold, so I'll try not to cough in your ears. We did want to talk through just some of the more specific accomplishments that the town was able to get through as a part of the conversion. So the town did go live successfully in Black Mountain on August 1st, 2025, so last fall. There were a couple months of live training that Black Mountain did with the town's real live data, and that was very hands-on training. The general ledger from the old software was converted at the time of conversion to the new uniform chart of accounts. And that standard uniform chart of accounts is what we have all of our mass towns using. And the goal of that chart of accounts is just to have more consistency across the state, especially in our mass towns. So all of our mass towns are using that same chart of accounts. And one of our hopes there was that it would be maybe a little bit easier for auditors, just because if they go into a mass town, they're going to know what to expect. They've seen that chart before. Hopefully it helps the audits be a little bit more efficient. The payroll module in BMS is another thing that the town successfully converted to. It has a lot of different reporting functions in there. It helps automate tax forms, things like that. You can also pretty easily reconcile your payroll in BMS. There's a couple steps there that BMS makes pretty simple. Another thing, and we were just talking about this, is the bank reconciliation module in BMS is usually one of the mass towns I've found favorite things. It's very, very user-friendly. It's very straightforward. It allows the finance team to go in and basically clear bank transactions one for one with the system, and it really streamlines that bank reconciliation process. We also have implemented positive pay, which is a tool to prevent check fraud. I don't think Spencer has dealt with that, thankfully, but we have had a few towns in our program that have implemented positive pay who did have situations where somebody did try to commit check fraud, and thanks to having positive pay implemented, they did not lose those funds. And so that is in place. Hopefully it never happens, but if it does, it's a really great tool to prevent losing those funds. And then, of course, another piece of the program is the accounting assistance. Heather and her team have direct access to me and my team, so anytime they have a question, they can reach out and we can get an answer to them. And that was available before the conversion, but still available after. The program is winding down towards the end of December as it looks right now, but up until then, Heather and her team will continue to have direct access to me and my team. I'm continuing to work with the finance team on different best practices and any accounting questions that they might have. And then, like I mentioned, with the uniform chart, we also really have encouraged all of our Mass towns to communicate with each other. I know China Grove has talked with Spencer, Spencer's talked with China Grove. If they're both in the same software, it just makes sense for them to be able to bounce questions and ideas off each other as well. So we really encourage our towns to work together too. And then we're continuing to do training throughout the program. So we have lunch and learns that the finance team can join. We have a bevy of trainings that the league does for finance staff and board members. So we're continuing to offer that as well. We've also provided, we have what we call an AIM manual, which AIM is another program through the league, Accounting Instruction Mentorship. So we have basically created a manual that goes through daily, weekly, monthly, and annual processes. The finance team does have access to that manual. It has a lot of really good basic financial information in there, and it's written in plain English, which is always helpful. And then again, to mention the chart of accounts, the town will continue to use that through the program. And this is just something that we like to put in here, a goal of the program. We think, being in a software like Black Mountain, having access to the league and the accounting assistance really sets the town up for success with the financial reports and service to the citizens. So we do want to recognize a few different parties here. Definitely want to thank the state legislator. Without them, the funding for this program would not have been available and this program would not have existed. We want to thank you all. Thank you so much for allowing the town to be a part of this program. Hope that you found it beneficial. And then also the local government commission, they worked hand in hand with us to get this program off the ground, and they've been very, very supportive, and obviously they want the best for our towns as well. So that's been a really beneficial partnership. And last but not least, we want to thank the finance team. They made the conversion possible. They made my job really easy. They were great to work with, and they were there every single step of the way. Every conversion has its challenges, but we got through it, and I think without the finance team, that definitely would not have been possible. So we have some certificates that we'd like to give to Heather, Christy, and Allison. If you want to do that.
Y'all need to not be shy and come on up.
And then we also do have a plaque we'd like to present. I'm not sure if Peter or the mayor would like to.
Peter and our staff have had to be in the trenches with this, so we're gonna let him receive it.
And that's all we have. Thank y'all.
All right. Thank you.
I just want to say one more thing. I would just like to commend your finance team and your management team. We work, as I said, with a lot of towns across the state, and this was one of our easiest conversions because your staff was engaged and they attended the training successfully and were very, very involved and had positive attitudes, and they really are setting your town up for success, and it was a pleasure to partner with them. Thank you.
Well, good. Thank you.
Mayor,
Diane answered my one question that I had. I was going to ask if our staff were good students, but it sounds like they were, so.
Mayor, if I may, I would certainly love to also make sure we understand. We heard about the training and all that. I mean, it was I think it was a weekly, multiple times a week, many hours that our team was involved with that, and it also went beyond just the finance team. We had all of our departments involved at various places and working through the transition, which is in some ways still a work in progress. We're still getting some things tweaked and set up, but it's been a team effort, and but certainly appreciate our finance team and Heather and her crew's leadership and taking this forward and working with our partners at the league.
And so I had one question for Heather, since Diane was saying that she hoped that we were happy with it. Are we happier now with what we have than we were before?
Yes, we are.
Period.
There's some things that we're tweaking with it, and I think that we're looking for other opportunities to grow the program as well. So I think that once we get some of those, let's just get through budget and all that.
Very good. Well, thanks to everybody. Thanks to our staff for the time that y'all put into it. Thanks to the league representatives for working with us, getting us through the process.
Did I hear you say that was winding down in December?
Yes. Just like you, as your town, received ARP funding, American Rescue Plan, that grant runs out at the end of 2026. So that's where we got our funding. We are working with multiple agencies across the state to try and get additional funding to continue the program beyond this year. So hopefully that will happen. We don't know yet, but hopefully within the next month or two, we'll have a better idea on that. So call your state legislators, tell them it's a good program, we need money. So
Ask them to pass a budget.
well, a budget would be helpful because then we would at least know, right?
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, we'll move to our next item, item 10, which is to consider authorizing the town manager to negotiate and execute the contract for the cell tower to be located at Sailor's Ferry Road. Mr. Blunt.
I will tag team with the manager on this one a little bit, but to give you the same background I gave you before, this is an opportunity to have a cell tower located on our Public Works Department property. I showed you the propagation maps that show how the signals will be increased, not just in that area, but throughout the town of Spencer. So this is a great benefit to our community that at this time requires people like me to walk out on their front porch to take a cell phone call. And that's a little scary when it's early in the morning. I'm wearing my pajamas going out there. So we'll solve those problems with this tower. I probably won't solve all of them, but this is the first step in doing that. We have been negotiating with the tower company. We have overcome one major obstacle, which was when they required or requested a 40-year lease period. That kicked it in by state statute to be considered the sale of property instead of the lease, as far as the procedures we had to follow, which included an upset bid process. The upset bid process is cumbersome. It's a little complicated, more complicated with a lease than it is for a purchase because you don't have a fixed price to deal with. After discussing that back and forth with them, they have agreed to reduce the term of the lease to 25 years instead of 40 years. That is the threshold for requiring the upset bid process. So we're out from under that problem. We did, as each time we met with them, discuss price. We got the option price up to $1,000 for an 18-month option for them to do their due diligence. I think it will be a shorter period than that. They request 18 months because they are normally leasing or purchasing property from a private property owner. And then they have to go to the local government and go through all the various procedures that the government might require for rezoning and cell tower locations and things of that nature. In this case, they're actually leasing the property from the organization, the town of Spencer, that will be granting those approvals. So we think we can streamline that process and get it done a lot quicker than 18 months. Once that process is through, they will go ahead and build the tower. We got the price up to the $1,200 per month or $14,000 per year, the 3% escalation clause after the first term. We considered what Mr. Bish mentioned, requesting additional funding each time they leased out antenna space to another server. We decided, and it was the manager, the attorney, and myself working with the cell tower company, we decided that was too cumbersome to try to track that, and decided at that point we got them up to the 1,200 from 1,000, so we felt like it was a pretty good deal. At this point, what we're asking you to do is authorize the manager to execute the contract that was in your package. At that point, that starts the clock on their due diligence period. At the end of the due diligence, not to exceed 18 months, they will execute the lease itself and build the tower. I'll be glad to answer any questions, or the manager can answer any that I can't.
I just want to make a few comments before we open it for questions relative to some of the information, Steve, that you've presented before for the purpose of the public. Again, as we know that in addition to road conditions, cell phone service within Spencer for our residents, but also for our emergency services, seems to be a recurring complaint. And obviously one that typically we would have very little input or ability to leverage or control. And so we've been fortunate enough that a company has expressed interest in making that cell phone signal better for us. The other thing that we typically hear with cell phone towers is concern over the visibility of them. And as Mr. Blunt, as a reminder, he has presented previously the kind of images of the surrounding area because of where this is located on existing town property. And where it is located relative to buildings and homes around, views of this tower will be minimal. So it's not as high profile as in a lot of locations. So it really is, if we're going to have a new cell tower, kind of the best of both worlds. The other issue is this is being proposed on land that otherwise we would not be getting any money on, because it is a part of our public work site that is not currently used. And so while it would be nice to get more money, the reality is we're getting money that we weren't getting before. And more so than the money that the town is getting, I think the public benefit of enhanced cell phone signal for any carrier that ultimately attaches, and I think that's what we need to keep in mind, is oftentimes multiple carriers will attach to these towers. So the goal, the hope, based on the projections that we have seen, is that cell phone signal will be significantly better in a majority of the town because of this project. So I just want everybody to keep that in mind and remember those benefits that we've heard before. All right, any questions for Mr. Blunt?
The question.
Yes, ma'am.
One of the stipulations in this contract speaks to confidentiality of any of the terms to any third party. Are we breaching confidentiality when we talk about?
Not in my opinion.
Okay.
Your attorney's not here to answer that question, so I'll answer for you.
Steve stayed at a Holiday Inn Express last night.
Not in my legal opinion.
Okay. I think that was the only question I had about that.
Okay.
Do we have any feedback from all the from the neighbors in that area as far as that goes?
Everyone I've spoken to is excited about getting the tower in that area. We will have a rezoning process and a cell tower site location process where we handle it just like we normally do. We'll invite the surrounding neighborhood residents to come in and see the video that you've seen that shows what they will see when they look up at the tower. At any stage along the way, you could actually stop the project by not approving the zoning or not approving the tower location. Obviously, we think that would be a mistake, but this is just the first step in the process to sign the contract and get it started.
Okay. And we talked also about construction problems on that road. If there are any problems with the road as far as construction with heavy trucks or anything, they will repair the roads as far as that going into the areas, is that correct?
Yes, sir. And they will be building a new gravel road down to where the actual tower site is,
Okay.
so that's all their responsibility.
Joel doesn't have any problems with this, is that right, correct?
Joel's a happy man.
No problems with you? Okay.
All right. Any other questions?
Just mentioning that cell service question, another issue tangent to this is that as we look to develop the Yadkin River District project, one of the comments that was made during the planning sessions for all that was that you have 0 cell reception at that site now. This will solve that problem.
So it will be covered in that area,
Yes,
is that
sir.
right? Good. That's one good asset.
All right. Anything else?
I heard a tongue, my time must be out.
All right, board, we will consider a motion this evening to authorize the town manager to negotiate and execute this contract, if you so desire.
I make a motion to authorize the town manager to negotiate and execute a contract for the cell tower to be located at Sowersbury roadside.
Second.
There's a motion by Ms. Moody, a second by Mr. Muhammad. Any discussion on this item? Hearing none, all in favor? All right, all opposed? And that's approved unanimously. We will move to item 11, and that's to consider approving our fiscal year 26 audit contract with Strickland Hardy PLLC. Ms. Can.
Good evening, Mayor and Board. You have a copy of the contract in front of you or in the packet. I wanted to update you on the cost and the changes from our current year for FY 25 to 26. In the contract, the audit fee was $18,500, and I just wanted to kind of give you the correlation between FY 25, which was $17,000. And the fee for major programs has went up $500 from $3,000 to $3,500. And then the preparation of the financial statements has stayed at $5,000. So we're looking at a cost of $27,000 for the FY 26 budget. As far as the service that we received from Strickland Hardy, I felt very comfortable and confident in the work that they did. So if you have any questions about that or comments about that, or about the contract, just let me know.
Okay. Board, any questions on the proposal from Strickland Hardy?
This is just maybe a crazy question, but it talks to the local government commission's logos system. What does logo stand for?
I'm horrible at acronyms. Local, honestly, I don't know, but I'll find out for you.
Another catchy acronym.
It's an acronym that it's their system. If I'm not mistaken, it's their system where we enter their information into.
Yeah, it is.
Local government operating systems.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Close enough.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And just to set the record straight, I feel like I gave a negative connotation about our Black Mountain software when I said just let me get through budget. I have enjoyed this. I have enjoyed the software, and I feel like that learning the software from implementation until now has helped me and my team to understand the flow of transactions and that kind of stuff. So
I would say, like anybody in accounting right now, it's like, just let me get through this next several months.
Right.
But
Yeah. But I mean, I haven't been formally trained on the budget piece of it. But whenever I call to, support for that, they call me and say, here, let's jump on a turbo meeting, and they walk me through things. They don't just say, here, let me do this for you. They walk me through it and help me to understand what's going on with things, which, it helps me to learn so that I can pass that information on. So, just want to let you know.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right, board, any other questions on the audit contract? And if not, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
There's one other question.
You have one more question? You can. There's a motion, but we will open it up for
Okay.
discussion after that.
In the letter from Strickland, there's a place in here, and I don't even know, don't have a page number, but it says our procedures include tests of documentary evidence supporting transactions, blah, blah, blah. And it says we have identified the following significant risk of material misstatement as a part of our audit planning. And I wondered if that was to our organization or if that is a general specific thing. They say the significant risk of material misrepresentation is management override of controls and improper revenue recognition due to fraud.
Can you show me that page?
I can. It's the third.
It sounds like CYA language.
I'm sorry.
Sounds like I stayed at a Holiday Inn Express.
You should.
What page was that on, Mrs. Sledge?
It's in the third page
Yeah.
of their letter to us.
Okay.
Third page of the letter.
So I don't want to interrupt, but Anna happened to work for the state auditor's office before she came to work for us.
Convenient.
And he says that that is standard language
Yeah.
in all of the contracts that accountants do across the state. So just a little, it's not anything unique to what you're seeing for this particular contract.
Okay.
Yeah. Typical terms and conditions. It sounds like.
Yeah. That was my gut feeling. but I
Another
thought
creative acronym, right?
Yeah. All right, thank you. You're welcome.
Thanks, Ms. Sledge.
I mean,
Any other questions? Any other discussion? We have a motion on the floor. We are awaiting a second.
Second.
There's a second by Ms. Stanley. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? All right. All opposed? The motion was Ms. Sledge, or Ms. Seekers. Thank you. All right, that's approved. Thank you all. We will now move to item 12, and that's to consider adopting ordinance 26-02, amending the town's official zoning map dated September 10th, 2024, rezoning the Rowan County GIS system parcel 048094, located at 2035 US Highway 29 from the industrial IND classification to the civic CIV zoning classification. Mr. Blunt.
Before I start on that, I will back up my legal opinion on that confidentiality thing. It says we're not to disclose terms of the agreement except for a list of reasons, the last one being as required by law. And we as a town can't keep secrets on contracts. So,
And we don't have an executed agreement yet.
Right.
So
Yeah.
we're not bound by the terms of an agreement that we haven't signed.
just want to make sure I didn't overstep my bounds there. Okay, you've seen this before. I'll run through it very quickly for the benefit of the public. It has been properly advertised. We've had neighborhood meetings. We've had public hearings. So I'll run through this very quickly and then answer any questions you might have. This is parcel 048094 at 2038 North US Highway 29, 0.79 acre tract with a 2,400 square foot building on it. The original use was retail. It was built many decades ago. It's been empty for some period of time. The current owner bought the building and wishes to renovate it and start a small church. Unfortunately, it's located in an area that's zoned industrial, IND. Churches are allowed in 2 zoning classifications in our development ordinance, one of those being civic, CIV. They are planning to build a 32-car parking lot behind the building that will be adequate for their expected membership. This map shows you roughly where it's located, that little blue dot right in the middle of the screen on US Highway 29 on the northwest side. This moves in a little closer. You will remember this from the previous rezoning of that corner parcel to make it usable as an automobile dealership. The parcel that we're looking to rezone wraps around that. This is a Google Maps view, shows you the white building in the center of that circle would be the site for this. This closes in a little tighter so you can see all the details of the site. This is what it looks like from the street, and the old sign for the home decorating business that was there many decades ago. This is looking from Yadkin Baptist Church Road, which would be the access to the parking lot. That tree will go away, and that will be paved and striped and be a very nice parking lot for this building. And that's their site plan. And I will tell you that I went out and picked up our zoning notification sign today, and they've really done some nice work on improving the appearance of the building. They are going to have a very nice small church if you so agree to approve the rezoning. So I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Blunt. Board, any questions? Okay. Hearing none. Is there a motion to adopt the ordinance?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Muhammad,
Second.
second by Ms. Moody. Any discussion? All right, all in favor? All right, all opposed? And that's approved unanimously. Thank you all. We will now move to item 13. That's to consider adopting Budget Ordinance Amendment 25-11.014, accepting and authorizing the town manager to execute the Rowan County Fire Grant for the fire department.
Do we have to do
Francis?
the letter of?
Oh, we do. You're right. We need a statement of consistency and reasonableness. Thank you, Ms. Sledge.
Mr. Mayor, I move to adopt a statement of consistency and reasonableness, stating that we find that this rezoning is consistent in general with the town's comprehensive land use plan per requirements of North Carolina General Statutes 160D-605A, said plan stating specifically, this is a strip of mixed development on both sides along North Salisbury Avenue, US Highway 29, from about 1625, the old way station site, to about 2175 Yadkin Baptist Church Road that is currently zoned industrial for industrial development. These are relatively small lots that over time will likely transition to retail uses, especially if the surrounding properties are developed into industrial uses and the North Carolina finishing property is developed into some sort of mixed-use development. We would suggest rezoning this to an appropriate commercial zoning classification C29 to promote commercial development over time. We further find that this rezoning to be reasonable in all ways as prescribed by North Carolina General Statutes 160D and 605B. The zoning will be beneficial to the citizens of the town of Spencer.
And I will point out, because Ms. Sledge called it and brought it to my attention, that quote is directly out of our comprehensive land use plan. And it says we suggest rezoning to C29 for these properties. In the memo that was attached to your package, I indicate in there that while we suggested at that time C29 would be appropriate, the CIV rezoning would not have a negative impact on that area. So because that was a direct quote out of the development ordinance, we couldn't change that last part. And Ms. Sledge caught me on that one, and we talked back and forth about it.
And again, board too, if you notice by the map that general area, there is also an existing church just across the road, Yadkin Baptist Church. So it is a conducive area for that type of use. All right, so there's a motion for the statement of consistency and reasonableness by Ms. Sledge. Is there a second to that?
Second.
Second by Mr. Muhammad. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? All right, all opposed? And that's approved unanimously as well. Thank you, Ms. Sledge, for reminding us to do that. Next is item 13, and this is in regard to the Rowan County Fire Grant for the fire department.
Yes.
Mr. Prentice.
Thank you very much, Mayor and members of the board. And Chief Lanning's coming up, so if we have any operational questions about the partnerships involved here, he can jump in. But in general, the county has awarded our organization, as well as the other municipalities and the other volunteer fire departments, each an award like this, a $10,000 grant to go towards staffing. And for our purposes, we've identified a use to increase our overtime budget with that amount of money, which has been a helpful thing. So we appreciate the county's partnership my understanding in discussions with the county managers, they are at this time hoping to turn this into an annual award that we can program in, in future years as well. So again, we appreciate their partnership with this, and Chief Lanning, whatever you like to add.
Yeah, no, just for the record, I appreciate the county commissioners recognizing the partnerships that it really takes to provide fire protection across the entire county. This is the second year they've done it. Initially, municipalities were not involved, and through some very beneficial conversations through both the Rowan County Firemen's Association, the Municipal Fire Chiefs Association, we were able to have some of those maybe uncomfortable conversations sometimes that, hey, we very much do rely on the county, but in turn, they also rely on us. So it takes us all to make the dream work. So I'm very thankful.
Okay, thank you. Board, any questions on this?
Me again.
It's all good.
In your report that we'll hear later, you talk about the requirements for a specific amount of employees on staff. I believe it's 15.
Yes,
Is that
ma'am.
right?
For us, by standard, for a single department, right, we have one fire station.
Right.
We're required to have 15, and as you add those, that number does change.
Okay, so this money then, we're going to allocate it to pay overtime.
Yes, ma'am.
But not be able to add additional staff members. Is that correct?
So the county, their only requirement is that goes to personnel costs, right? The initial goal with this was to help assist volunteer departments with low tax bases, right? To build a staff, putting bodies in fire stations.
Right.
Currently, we are looking towards next budget year to hopefully transition a part-time to a full-time position, just really exploring what those options look like. The unfortunate part is $10,000 is a drop in the bucket to employ a part-timer, right? And that's some of the issues that we've gotten in to why we're down to 15 people on the certified roster is a lack of part-time availability, right? We go back a couple of years, we had 24 hours, 365 that was available for coverage. Necessary evil, right? We've expanded our full-time staff. We had to rob Peter to pay Paul, shift funds one line to the other. But when we did that, the uncommon thought, right? We didn't think about, maybe some of the negatives. And when we cut those part-time available shifts, now those people have left to go find consistency, right? And consistency in supplemental incomes. And so without that, it is hard to keep part-timers currently. Because there may be 2 shifts a month, or maybe 3, right? And how does that work into their lives, their full-time jobs? So, yeah, trying to make the most of it the best that we can.
So I guess the funding of part-timers is not particularly the issue. It's the amount of people we're able to convince to, be actively working those shifts.
Yeah.
That currently we're kind of in that in between of if we had a whole lot more money, we could just say add a whole 4th person on the crew with part-time shifts, but that's beyond what we're able to bite off. So the shift availability for part-timers is more of a fill-in for the full-time duty coverage.
And again, keep in mind, just a few years ago, we were in this process of transitioning from a volunteer and part-time department to a full-time part-time department. And I think the realization is that we knew all along that eventually we were going to have to transition to what is predominantly a full-time department. Yeah. The other thing I'll mention too is, we've started with our Rowan County mayors and talking with county leadership to just recognizing some of the things we talked about, like with the new fire truck and the miles that we've already put on it in a year, and the number of medical calls and things like that. And so I think the county and all of the municipalities are very aware of that burden that's being placed. The county right now is really actively trying to add some additional EMS stations, one of which could potentially be on Long Ferry Road. And so the intent there is to help, but also I shared with them the concerns that we've had, right, and how, that also impacts our staffing model because of the vehicles. And so I think we have started a discussion that's probably going to be lots more discussion, but it is a need that I think everyone at the table recognizes, and that we're not going to solve it alone as Spencer. We're going to have to solve it together with the other municipalities in the county as well.
Well, I did notice that there were two volunteers departments who were planning to have substantial tax increases for their fire tax.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether they got approval for that or whether,
I'm not sure.
but you know, this may help that too.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Board, any other questions or feedback? All right, we'll entertain a motion to adopt Budget Ordinance Amendment 25-11014 with great appreciation to the county for providing this grant.
I move that we adopt the budget ordinance for Amendment 25-11.014, accept the authorization for the town manager to execute Rowan County Fire grant for the fire department.
All right.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Muhammad, second by Ms. Sledge. All in favor? All right, all opposed? And that's approved. Thank you all. We'll move now to our departmental reports and invite Mr. Blunt forward for the planning report.
Mayor, members of the board, normally at this time in your meeting, I would come forward and say, you have my written report and I'll be glad to answer any questions.
We gave you homework though.
And you do have my report and I will be glad to answer any questions. But first I was asked to give a presentation on our ongoing commercial and industrial projects. And I've taken advantage of that invitation to give you a very long slide presentation. So buckle down and we'll see what we have to talk about. First, a map that shows the northeastern part of our community and identifies a variety of projects. And we'll talk about each one of those individually, but I wanted you to see this map so you could see that on our zoning map, as we've talked about on some of these rezoning issues, the zoning map shows all this in a nice purplish color, and it was designated to be for industrial development, and that's happening. That's happening over time. That's what you see there is proposed and new industrial projects. So let's go through those. The first one of my favorites, the Aiken River District Small Area Plan. This is the plan that y'all have seen before when it was adopted last year. It's a mixed-use plan. It involves a lot of residential, commercial, some parks and trails. And this may not fit into the commercial and industrial update that you asked for, but just yesterday, the developer of this property contacted us and said, while originally they thought this would be the last part of the North Carolina Finishing Company property to be developed, that they are now shifting their perspective and think that there's enough demand for residential that it's time to move ahead with the residential component of this. There are details to work out. Obviously, the master plan is complete. That's what you just saw. The brownfield study is underway. It's not complete, but we've been told that they're underway and haven't seen any major problems so far. We did meet with the developer and talk to them. As could be expected, one of the problems is money. There's some things on that site that have to be overcome, the lack of sewer, the cleanup of the old building site and the slabs. We were talking today about an interesting concept of taking those slabs and grinding them up into pea-sized pieces of concrete and actually using that material to create the trails that will be built on that property. So a good environmental use of old concrete. And we're looking into that now. There's actually a company here in Rowan County that does that, so we think that's a real possibility. The rest of that project is what we have called the North Carolina Finishing Company property, but it also includes what was originally called the Fisher Lamb site, which is to the south of the North Carolina Finishing Company property. This is one of the first concept maps that our developer provided to us. This particular one shows 13 buildings of about 1.5 million square feet of space. Several of those buildings are designed to be expanded, almost doubled in size, so that 1.5 million could go up over time. The Fisher Lamb site was the first site I brought to you. So as in 2022, when I first came to work with you, we had a Raleigh developer that was looking at the Fisher Lamb site to put 2 buildings on, 2 larger buildings. So to think of this in update fashion 4.5 years later, it's morphed into something a little more than that. That Fisher Lamb site, the developer has actually purchased. They own that property now. They have an option to purchase the rest of it, subject to the brownfield study and a few other problems being resolved. As I mentioned, the brownfield study is underway. It's partially funded by a grant from the North Carolina Railroad and the Central Carolina COG program. They have gotten preliminary reports from their soil engineers, and again, certainly they have found some pollution, but they don't think there's any major problems that they can't overcome with mitigation processes. We've also gotten a big NCRR grant that you're aware of to help fund the utilities. And some of that money may actually go into the sewer side of that multi-purpose part that I showed you in the first couple slides there. So we're working to mesh all this together to make all of it move forward as quickly as possible. In one conversation with the developer, he was asked how quickly this project might move ahead, the industrial side of it. Somebody from the North Carolina Railroad had asked him that question, and he said he hoped to start on the first building by the end of the year. That would be his goal. I hope that's true. There's a lot of obstacles to overcome, but I hope that's true. Right next to that is Innospec, and this is sort of a quiet project that nobody hears much about. That's their overall site plan, and as I told you some time ago, their home office had approved a $50 to $75 million improvement and expansion of this plant. And if you look very carefully, the scribbling underneath that blue box is what I get from them about twice a year, 3 times a year over the last couple of years, is a zoning permit application, and they're showing me on this drawing where they're adding structures. This particular one was 3 different small buildings that were being added to that. Any one of those buildings would be a fairly major price for them to build the building and put the equipment in it. So the $50 to $75 million, you're not going to see a huge building built out on the interstate, and you're going to see improvements to an existing site. This site plan that you see here doesn't show 2/3 of the property they own in this area. So they've got a lot of room to grow. They're already talking to North Carolina Railroad about putting in another spur so they'll have more room to stack railroad cars out there. So that's a big one. You just don't see it very much because it's doing piecemeal. And that's what all that verbiage tells you. This is the one that everybody sees and wonders why in the world it takes so long to build a truck stop. This has been approved for about 2 years. It's been under construction almost that long. They ran into some problems. And on the 9th, I had a conversation with the contractor. He sent me this update on what his plans are. And you can read through what they've accomplished, what they're working on now. But at the end of the conversation, he told me that they hope to have this complete by the end of the calendar year. I think in 6 months, I'll be back to you giving you another update that it may take a little longer than that. But they are working to meet this schedule. They are confident it will be completed. That's always a comfort to me because our fear is that somebody might walk away from a project like this. Luckily, we required a bond for all the site improvements. So if they walk away, we can either complete out the project ourselves or reuse the site for another use. Right across the street from that is the Johnson Development 350,000 square foot distribution center. They have gone completely through the zoning and annexation process. All their planning and permitting is completed. They stopped at that point and said, we're going to wait till we find a tenant before we break ground. And that's a normal thing for this type of building. With the economy turning down a little bit, they have had trouble finding a tenant. That's got a good side and a bad side. Obviously, we'd love to see that building built. But in a meeting with NCDOT, Johnson Development, and the truck stop, I lose track of the time, I think it was last week, Johnson Development has waited long enough that their driveway permits that they had have expired. And the truck stop has moved ahead a little quicker and gotten their driveway permits approved. And in the meeting, it was determined that the driveway permits that Johnson Development would like to have are probably not going to be approved anymore because of the conflict in the driveways that you see right there. And the solution that DOT told both of those developers was to build that road that we asked for a year and a half ago. That yellow line is what we would like to see built, not just to help these two businesses, but to access the North Carolina Finishing Company property further up. So I thought this was a dead horse, but it's come back to life. This one over on Willow Creek, it's gone through 3 different developers, really 3 different property owners. First one was a developer, the second one just bought the property from that one, and now it's changed hands again. And I wasn't too excited about it, although they have done a good job of redoing the design, presenting it to us. 2 buildings, 1.117 million square feet of light industrial space. This is not distribution, it's light industrial. So that's a lot of jobs out there. They went so far as to complete the construction drawings. 80 pages of drawings is what I've been working on this week to get reviewed and approved. And they paid the fees to get all that done, which were pretty sizable. In a discussion with their design team, I asked, is this just going to be another design process, get it approved, and then wait for a tenant? And they said, no, this is the Crow of what used to be Trammell Crow, and they have deep enough pockets that they plan to build the first building as a speculative building. So just as soon as they get through with the permitting process, they plan to break ground and get that project built. And I think that's what all that says. Yep. The Willow Creek Medical Office Building, similarly, that's what it's going to look like to some degree. It's a pretty simple drawing, but a very modern, attractive building on that corner site at Willow Creek and Long Ferry. That will be visible from the interstate and from Long Ferry Road because it's going to be tall enough. Again, the developer, the person who's going to own the building, has purchased the property, and I reiterate that from time to time. There's a lot of people that talk about doing development, but they don't buy the property because they're not really certain it's going to move ahead. Once they spend $1 million or so to buy the piece of property, they're pretty serious about getting it done. That property's gone through all the zoning and annexation process. This board has approved those. The site plan review has been completed. They are working with Salisbury-Rowan Utilities, Rowan County, and NCDOT to get all their other permitting in place. And again, in an update meeting with them back in February, the design engineer said that barring any permitting problems, they thought they would break ground in May or June. So that should be, you should see some grading going on before too much longer on that site. And it's a simple site, it's fairly flat, doesn't require a huge amount of grading. They do have to run water and sewer up Willow Creek to Longs Ferry, so that'll take a little bit of time. The building itself is a steel frame building with glass walls, so they go up fairly quickly. So once they start, I think you'll see some action on that one. This one's not under construction, it's already built. Yeah. This was a sad story back in December when the North Carolina Finishing Company closed down their operations, started removing their equipment, and I started meeting with the property owner who's out of Charlotte about this building, and we talked about a number of options. And as of about 2 weeks ago, he told me he had an offer on the building and he had accepted it, and the company was doing their due diligence on it. And we have learned since then who the company is. I think it's a company you're going to be very proud to have located in the town of Spencer. Certainly a great company, regionally known. The next best thing about this is that blue part is part of the site that was never used for PCA. And they have already gone through the subdivision process to subdivide that 13 acres off, and they plan to develop that as a separate business. So you lost one business, but you're going to get 2 back.
That's good.
This one as has been reported, we have nothing to do with. It's close enough to us, though, that I thought you might want to see the site plan. This is the Red Rock development that Rowan County has been working on for a couple of years now. This was an earlier drawing that they showed for a possible layout of industrial buildings on that site. You can see that site's complicated a great deal by creeks that run down to the High Rock Lake. But that's a big project. I think that's 13 buildings, if I remember counting them correctly. It's outside of our current ETJ or zoning district. So as far as the planning and implementation and zoning and approval and what kind of use it is, that's entirely up to Rowan County at this point. I'll throw in a few more slides to keep you here for another half hour or so. North Oran Family Medical completed their addition, and it's a good-looking building. They did a really nice job of matching up the brick and the style of the building. They have officially announced their opening of that facility. You probably don't ride down Montclair Drive very often, but if you do, drive down there and see that Sedgefield Homes has built a model home and an office down there. Did a nice job on it because it's in our zoning jurisdiction and our ETJ. We had to handle all the planning and approval, and they were good folks to work with. Ice cream shop. There's the floor plan for the proposed ice cream shop next to our Mexican restaurant. We hear that it should be going ahead before very much longer. This is the old Choo Choo shop. That's a floor plan. In this one, it's for a potential restaurant with a rooftop bar, which would please me tremendously. And then that blue area below is the storefront next to that that would be renovated into retail space. He also has a separate plan that shows the Choo Choo shop being created into retail space with the 5th Street side having new storefronts opened up onto the 5th Street side. So he's waiting to find some people that are interested in leasing that property. And I will tell you that almost weekly, either Peter or I get a call or a knock on the door of somebody looking for space. So space is in demand, Spencer's in demand. We're going to see that he's occupied before you know it. Small car dealership down here on South Salisbury Avenue. That property had been condemned because the retaining wall had failed. Went through a long process with the new owner, young gentleman out of Lexington, that wanted to have a small car dealership and was willing to put up a new fence and eventually fix that retaining wall. But by putting up the fence, he isolated the area that was in trouble. He's put some money into renovating the building itself. Seems to be a good operation. A guy named Duke Brown, a guy I know from high school, has purchased 2 buildings down South Salisbury. The one that should be most important is on the right, the old dance studio. This building, again, was condemned. He went in and repaired the sinkhole and repaired the cracks in the walls, put in new windows. He plans to, at least originally planned to have his office in that building and then lease out space to another operator. He's put in an office assistance thing in the old furniture company. I haven't been in that one, but it sounds nice. Plans to put an addition on the back of that building. He needs more warehouse space, so that should be happening. That building and the one, the old junk car towing place that's not used anymore further south, have both been looked at by people who want to lease space. One, a lawyer that needs a place to store his records, so he would fix it up nice to protect those records. Another theatrical organization that's looking to have an operation here, and they're looking for space to do that in. These are active spaces. And of course, residential. I won't bore you to tears because I could show you another 40 slides on just residential. This is a 4-lot subdivision on Whitehead, 4-lot subdivision on South Salisbury, 2 lots that have been graded over on 3rd Street, and he's working through the water and sewer complexities of those 2 lots. The lot just to the bottom of that is owned by Piedmont Players, and they have actually come in and met with me about building a building on that site. This is a new one out on Hawkinstown Road. Presented at the planning board last night, and you'll be hearing about it in the near future for rezoning and annexation questions. 30 homes on 30 lots, single-family homes, nice homes. This is Hollywood Avenue, not Hollywood, Lincoln. Lincoln off of Hollywood. And this is 10 lots that are being developed for duplexes on each lot. So 20 new families from this project. Y'all have already rezoned that and annexed it, so that's been taken care of. And of course, our favorite, Hawkins Meadows townhomes. The right-hand side is the site plan. The left-hand side is the aerial photograph as it was under construction. That's what it looks like now. The subsurface work has been completed. Curb and gutters are in. Streets have the first layer of paving. And I've issued 12 zoning permits for the construction of 12 townhomes. So those will be starting soon. That's it.
That's a lot.
And new things happen every day. Let me tell you, next year's budget, you may have to increase my hours back up. Not sure what you got now is going to cover it anymore. But it's an exciting time to be in Spencer. I know some of these feel like they've been forever coming. I reported to someone the other day that was looking at developing something here in town, and the comment I used was that I think we're 4 years into a 10-year plan to be an overnight success. And I truly believe that a couple years down the road, people will be driving in Spencer wondering, how in the world did this happen?
They're already one.
The answer is going to be, though, that it took us a while. It took this board and previous boards having the wisdom and courage to revise your comprehensive plan, to revise your development ordinance, and then to do things to improve the appearance of our town and the appearance of our quality of leadership, to invite these people to come into our community and be a part of it. So it's been an exciting 4 years, and I look forward to surviving another 4 years. Be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Blunt. Questions?
I just want to thank you for that presentation, because was a great recap of everything. Because I have people ask me all the time, I said, I'll have to go home and check exactly what it is, but that really helped get it straight in my head, so thank you.
You're welcome.
And I think it helps that our permitting process moves fluidly. And I think that's really important because, I mean, you hear about places where you can't get anything permitted for 6 months, 7 months, a year, whatever.
We had a young man come in that's trying to develop a small apartment complex on Hawkinstown Road, none of that I showed you today, but they came in Tuesday. They came in yesterday to present their application for rezoning, and just because it landed at the exact right time, I was able to get the advertising done, set up the scheduled neighborhood meeting and zoning meeting, and it's on schedule for y'all to approve in May. So 1 month.
Any other questions? Please do.
You started all this. You better ask some questions.
Yeah, I do. But I'm going to keep it down to just one question as far as that goes. Concerning Red Rocks, if that property is annexed in, including the building that we all know what it's going to be, is that going to be annexed in Spencer or East Spencer?
Let me speak to that.
Because
I was going to get on my soapbox for a few minutes, and I'm going to go ahead and do that. So Mike may want to set a 3-minute timer for me. So again, that is currently not in our ETJ, and it is not in our town limits. And so we have no authority currently over what happens out there. Now, all that to say is that area is in Spencer and East Spencer, Spencer's future growth area. The agreements that we came to with East Spencer over as our communities grow in areas potentially outside of our ETJ, which, as we all know, the state legislature's considering doing away with ETJs entirely. But basically, all of the communities in Rowan County have gotten together to work out where we bump up against other communities where we will grow in the future. And so for Spencer, Mike, can you pull up a photo of that development or the map, the slide of that proposed
Put it back
development?
on and I'll skip it over to it, yeah.
So again, a small portion, approximately 1/6 of what is proposed as the Red Rock site is in Spencer's future growth area.
Meaning what? Show us what you're talking about.
So that area on the very north, Long Ferry Road, you'll see that Long Ferry Road runs basically near the top of all those buildings, except for that one building that's shown to the north of Long Ferry Road. You see that?
Yep.
The horizontal line
So the
across
road is running
is Long Ferry.
horizontally up there.
Okay, so that one building is in Spencer, proposed building is in Spencer's future growth area. The remainder of that property is in East Spencer's future growth area. And you remember we talked about when we did those growth boundaries, splitting the line that splits that is the middle of Long Ferry Road. So anything to the north of that would be in our future growth area. Anything to the south would be in East Spencer's, okay? So if we were provided an opportunity by the county and by the developer to annex that property, if they voluntarily came to us and said, we want to be annexed in,
right,
we would only be able to annex that 1/6 of that overall site, okay? And so then East Spencer would be the beneficiary of approximately 5/6 of that. So now's when I want to talk about this, right? Because as we talk about game changers for communities, small communities like Spencer and East Spencer, and I know Mr. Bish brought that up, and as he's had some emails with us as well, and I know you've seen lots of concerned citizens out in the community. Obviously, folks on Long Ferry Road, if you recall, even when we were talking about the Long Ferry Road traffic study that was done several years ago, that we were able to get expanded to look at areas on this side of the interstate. Traffic was a big concern. And so that is obviously a concern out there. The loss of farmland is a concern. The reality, though, is this was a property owner, a group of property owners that the land had been in their family for years and years and years. They turned around and decided that they had no future use for it and sold it. They were leasing the property for farmland again. So again, it was a property owner decision, and they are fully within their rights as owners of that property to sell that if they like to. And my comment to people that are upset when this land gets sold, if you're upset with it, buy it yourself. That's the harsh reality of it. And so originally this property, my understanding was it was talked about being potential distribution. It was talked about speculative distribution. It was talked about potentially light industrial. And obviously what we're seeing across the nation is with the growth of the need for data storage and AI computing, that has become a big part of this development market across the country. And obviously it's brought a lot of angst and concern to a lot of folks, but what they don't talk about are the positive benefits that it brings to communities. And so, yes, does development have negative consequences? It absolutely does, right? Any decision is going to impact somebody negatively. However, this type of development has what, in my opinion, is many more positive impacts, especially to the town of Spencer and East Spencer. And the reality is the town of East Spencer is going to be the true winner if they were to be a part of and be able to annex that property. They will be the true winner in all of this, which is good for northern Rowan County, and it's good for Rowan County because it is long overdue for that community, for sure. And so what we're looking at here is the potential of if this were to have been developed as light industrial or something like that, you would be looking at, yes, quite a few jobs, but you would also be looking at a ton of traffic, a ton of new houses required. And for a small community like Spencer and East Spencer, the cost to serve housing far outweighs the cost to serve industrial facilities. More so when it comes to AI or just data centers in general, you don't have as many people working there, so you have less houses that result from it. Typically, those facilities are privately secured, so you really don't have police needs out there. You will have fire needs, but commercial garbage is the collection that's done there. And so really the cost to serve is minimal. But the return on that type of investment for communities like Spencer and East Spencer, let's just say if it were light industrial, you're talking in the hundreds of millions of dollars in investment, okay? With an AI data center, we're talking in the billions of dollars of investment. We're talking a conservative estimate, we would say would be $10 billion of investment for a facility like this. Does anybody know $10 billion, right? And so a sixth of that property would potentially be in Spencer, in our growth area. A sixth of $10 billion is over $2 billion of new tax base for Spencer. It is over $8 billion for the town of East Spencer. For the town of Spencer, do you know what our current tax base is of all of our property? About $340 million. So this would be 4.9 times that type of investment with minimal cost to serve. So what does that mean at the end of the day? People say it's all about money, and the reality is for a community like the town of Spencer and East Spencer, it is all about money. Because what we then are the beneficiaries of with a minimal cost to serve, we're able to have transformation within our community. Mr. Bish brought up roads. Our road problem is solved. The county school problems are solved. Our sidewalks are solved. Public safety concerns about staffing is solved. Parks and recreation, all these things. And we're talking about one development. And we've got all these others that we're talking about as well. And so, yes, there are losers in these types of developments, and there are winners. And the reality is this type of development, if we were to be invited to annex this property, Spencer and East Spencer are winners in it. And we are transformationally changed for the better. And so I think that's the thing is we have to assess the pros and the cons of all of it. And at the end of the day, for us, and even for Long Ferry Road, the traffic concerns that were there, if it would have been something else, the traffic concerns go away. The traffic concerns then are related to construction, right? Well, they're going to have to rebuild anything that they damage, right? But it's a temporary thing. There have been concerns about noise. I think the reality is the noise is not what everybody makes it out to be. There are concerns about water. That's a legitimate concern. It absolutely is. That's the industry that I'm in. But also I know that technology is evolving with these that's working on using less water. And the other reality is we are in a river basin in the state of North Carolina. Throughout my career, I've studied these different river basins, and the Yadkin River Basin is the beneficiary of lots of water, unlike other areas within our state. Mm-hmm. Now, is it great water? No, it's pretty muddy to treat and that sort of thing, and it's kind of difficult. But a facility like this actually would buy water from a public water supplier, and then they would have their own on-site wastewater treatment process that treats it to a very high level, and it's solely being used for cooling, right? It's just for cooling of this computer equipment. And basically then it's treated and it's discharged back into the river in a better quality than it came out. And it would only be discharged about 3/4 of a mile away from where it was taken out. And so I think at the end of the day, is there reason for concern over AI data centers? Yeah, absolutely. In certain areas where the development may be negatively impacted for the area. But in areas like this that are already slated for future industrial development, that you've had a power facility there for years, these are the type of sites where the benefit that it provides to the community in my opinion, and I'll stand on this platform to my grave, the benefits to a community like Spencer and East Spencer far outweigh the negative consequences. And I know there are people out there that disagree with me, and I accept that. That is fine. Everybody's entitled to their opinion, but I have stayed quiet long enough about this and the benefits that it will provide to our community that I'm on my soapbox, and that's where I'm going to stay.
3 minutes is up.
It's up.
That's a politician's point of view, and I think it's a great one. I'll tell you, as a planner, what we don't show on that slide right there, and the reason I pulled back to it was the lower left-hand side is the Chewy Distribution Center. It's already there. Up above where the Red Rock is, if we're close to the river, is the Duke Energy site. It's already there. From the Red Rock back to the interstate are a number of long, skinny properties that were split up over the years for investment. And in my opinion, they will get bought up and combined into another industrial site in the future. So I'm not sure you could pick a better place, even a less impactful place, because it's already industrial. It's already headed that way. Now, I too have concerns about noise, water, and electricity.
Yep.
But the powers that be at Rowan County and other regulatory agencies are doing their best to mitigate those problems as they run through the development process.
Hey, I missed the most important part.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
The most important benefit, right? And this is all of these things, right? This is the opportunity to have your cake and eat it too, because what I didn't say is it provides us the opportunity to cut our tax rate to our current citizens.
Yeah.
Right? And still generate significantly more revenue than we are and do all these projects we want to do. I mean, we don't have a number yet, but I've heard what East Spencer has floated out there, and obviously they're going to be getting a significantly higher investment. But I mean, we're talking on the order of probably 25 to 50%. That's a game changer for the folks in our community that need a tax cut the most. And so it's one of those things. People complain about roads, they complain about schools, they complain about not having sidewalks, but then they complain about their taxes being too high, right? This is the solution to it.
But I agree with you. There are concerns. When I sit on my house on Pickett Avenue on the southwest side of this map, I can hear the I-85 traffic.
Okay.
And it is concerning to me that I'm sitting there looking at the beautiful woods around Grants Creek, and yet I can still hear the zoom, zoom, zoom of traffic on I-85. This will create some noise. So the folks on that side of the I-85 are going to be impacted by that noise.
Similarly, we can hear the high school stadium. We can hear Shuford Stadium at Catawba.
8th Street.
You can probably hear my kids yelling at one another.
On 8th Street.
So,
The train, I hear the train every time, every train that comes through.
Right.
Yeah.
And yet if it's like my wife, she'll claim that I can't hear her most of the time.
I'm glad I'm a planner and
That's
not
what he
a
said.
politician at this point, so I don't have to make those kind of decisions. But I appreciate the mayor's comments on it.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Any feedback? Okay. Thank
My
you.
pleasure.
All right. We'll move on to next, more departmental reports. We'll move on to our code enforcement and police report. That's provided in writing. We did get an update from Chief File, but if there are any questions, we do have Sergeant Leonard here that can answer those. All right. We'll move to our fire department report. Chief Lanning.
Welcome again. My written report is before you. If you have any questions, I would love to answer those. The one thing I did want to point out that is super exciting, at least for us and our staff, is we've set the date for fire camp again. And that will be July 20th through the 22nd. I think we're 2 weeks into applications and we're 6 or 7. So slow start. I would love nothing more than to open it and it'd be full by 5 o'clock that same day. But baby steps. Also want to publicly congratulate our recent hire of engineer Aaron Russell. They welcomed their little boy, Wyatt, into the world back 2 weeks ago. So mom, baby, all are healthy. So congratulations to him. I am ready for him to come back to work though, but we'll give him his time. And then the last thing, I know we had a HVAC issue that was corrected due to the heat not working. Now we have another HVAC issue where now we have no AC. So it's quite unfortunate, not the right time of the year to deal with that. But optimistic, waiting on some quotes, and hopefully we can figure out some answers.
The fire station in my house must be just like cosmically linked because every time it goes out at my house, it goes out of the fire.
And the library.
And the library. I apologize.
There's little gremlins running around. I'm not sure,
Yeah.
but we've got some quotes thus far. Kind of made me sick to my stomach, but quotes nonetheless. And I would be happy to answer any questions you may have.
I got a question, sir.
Yes, sir.
I know with the budget coming up, I know you've got your own priorities that you need to be thinking about your men and for safety of your men, but I keep thinking about overuse of the truck, the number one truck. And I guess my main question is, what is the problem with the, I'd say, number two truck? What is the problem why we can't kind of split times with those trucks? Is it? And I know you said you didn't feel safe driving it.
Several things.
Okay.
One is it needs new tires all the way around, which attempting to address in the budget.
Okay.
$15,000 minimum for radiator replacement.
All right.
And then there are air leaks that we put $5,000 towards this year, but we're still having issues. So it just simply the bladder under the driver's seat. Currently, driver's seat's held up with 2x4s because the air leaks are so severe that.
Really?
Yeah. So a list of things, $30,000, $40,000, we could probably have it running smoothly and hopefully efficiently, but just trying to take little bites at that when we can.
Okay.
I am impressed with your team, though. What y'all have been able to do with lumber. Between the staff quarters and engine seats, that's impressive.
Get creative sometimes.
Okay, so, thank you.
Yeah, there are uses for the crooked wood at Lowe's. So make that work. Anything else?
Versus usage of the new engine versus the repairs and things that are needed for the old engine. How does that?
Long term, repairing the old is much cheaper.
Okay, that's
right.
You know,
and so this week we hit 10,000 miles on the new engine. That March, I think 12th was a year that it's been in service.
Okay, I just wanted to ask that, you know, for the residents that are present and listening and for the recording, because I think that is, you know, an interesting question that, you know, may need to be heard.
The other thing that we talked about too was previously, if you recall, was the potential of looking into additional staffing and then basically purchasing a first aid vehicle. And I think these are some of the types of conversations we need to have with the county, and I think they're open to it, understanding what the implications are. But obviously, we've got to have how many on a truck?
Minimum of 3.
Right. Minimum of 3, ideally 4.
Absolutely.
And then minimum of 3, though, and then if you have somebody running medical calls, ideally you need 2.
Yes.
There. And so that just increased the number of people we have to have on our shift. However, what I think is important and we probably need to look at is what is the cost to do all of that versus the cost of running our brand new engine into the ground and having to buy another one at the cost that they are now.
Well,
so the cost benefit of that we probably need to evaluate and figure out. And I know, you know, obviously that's going to be a huge bite either way, but we also, I feel like, need to be proactive. We've got a brand new engine. We need to plan accordingly for the future and how we're managing that as opposed to just kind of running it just because we're out of necessity having to run it.
Yeah, and by all means, I hear you, and I agree. But again, right, in service delivery, ensuring that at any moment in this town, we can go to the aid of any citizen, right, or business owner. And so, yeah, in theory, we could drop one person off the engine, put them in the squad, but it's not effective, right? And now we're taking what limited resources that we do have, right? We're not the city of Salisbury with 5 fire stations, 6 fire stations. And so being that collective unit is so important while also being able to attack whatever hazard may come out from moment to moment.
Let me express, I think y'all do a tremendous job.
Sure, no, most definitely. Thank you.
I am, because the only thing I am concerned about is that number one truck, because you know, we're looking at over $1 million now for a new truck. And I
The same truck today is 1.4 million.
Okay.
And ours was just under 9.
892,
So,
including the equipment.
so you see, that's a big investment. And we don't, I don't know, how many years we paying for this thing? 20 years?
20.
20.
Yeah, and you know, but being realistic, it's going to be up for replacement far before we ever have it paid off, unfortunately.
That's what I'm scared about. That's what I'm really, that makes me nervous because I think about that and, you know, I appreciate everything y'all do. And y'all do a lot of things, but I keep saying, why do we always have to drive the number one truck?
Sure. Well, and I think something, and you know, I think we're all grateful for the growth, right? But you know, sitting and listening to Steve, the thing to think about too is we're already at 30 to 40% of our call volume is overlapping,
I know.
right? And so as we grow, as we evolve, is there at some point is going to have to be a conversation of what does a second company in this town look like, right? Is it on a mini pumper, right? It could be an F-350 with a 300-gallon tank, something that's small that could run those medical calls more cost effective. But we're already, arguably, to many municipal standards, already ineffective in our service delivery just because of the call volume. But we do the best we can, right? We have these great partnerships with Millers Ferry, City of Salisbury, and East Spencer. But you also, you know, don't want to just pull one at some point. Hey, this is not what their tax dollars are supposed to go to, is coming to Spencer and vice versa.
Well, again, that's why I think we've got to advocate for some type of relief on the medical calls, because that's what's killing us.
Absolutely.
But we've got to, I mean, it's just as important as the fire service, right?
Yes.
I mean,
It's
that's
just as important. And we
we're
have an
saving
older
people either way.
community, and that's part of the problem
That's right.
as far as that goes. But like I said, we've got to do something. Got to do something. And I don't want to take away like your proposed budget for this coming year, but I just really think that's something we should really consider about trying to get this other truck running or getting a medical vehicle working as far as that goes. I think that's
I
very
think
important.
the good news is there's light at the end of the tunnel, right? And it's what I just got on my soapbox about is it's 0 minutes in it. It's
I'm just trying to make that
but
little
these are the types of issues that communities like ours, that this type of development solves.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you.
All right, next report is Public Works, Mr. Taylor.
Good evening, members of the board.
Good evening.
Good evening.
All of our regular services are running on schedule, and just a reminder, this will be the last week for the leaf pickup, the loose leaves. Anything after this week, we may lap into Monday and Tuesday, depending on how many get put out, but I'll try to run everything on Thursday and Friday. But after
when does pollen collection end?
God.
I don't know that I can do that. I can do a lot of things, but
because we haven't had rain, but I've got about an inch of pollen.
I think
Yes,
it's sometime
yes, and-
between second spring and fall summer.
Yes.
and every time we fire up that leaf back, you see a yellow cloud come out of the top of it. So we're sorry. This is part of it, I guess. Do what we have to do. That's it. We did have a very successful mulch giveaway. We did deliver a total of 21 loads, and we had quite a few people come and get some. So, but I still have plenty left. So, and I'm just about to the point of wanting to grind again. We'll grind right after the first of the year because we have picked up a lot of stuff this year. So, if anyone wants it, we're more than happy to get it for them. We are currently out of replacement trash carts. I have a few, just for new residents, that kind of stuff. I've already placed the order. Heather and I have come up with a solution and swapped some money around, so the order has been placed. Now the question is when I will get them. It's looking now mid to late May before I will get them because of the backlog, which is really not that far away. So we're going to be piecing things together and that kind of stuff, but we'll get through like we always have. You know, take them from vacant houses, swap them over to somebody else. We'll figure it out. But just wanted to let you know that, you know, they're not as accessible as they once were. And a lot of it has to do with the new homes built, to be honest, and the new truck. The new truck in the wintertime kills trash cans. The plastic gets cold, and when he squeezes it, it just breaks them all to pieces. So we have looked at other trash cans without tipper bars, but then if we get them without tipper bars, then our other truck is no use if we go out of. So we're kind of.
I've noticed the tipper bars like to move around with the new truck too.
Oh yeah, and we like them better when they just slide one way. You know what I mean? But too much information about trash cans. Sorry. We'll just go with that.
It's a big deal.
I never knew there was that much about a trash can. But we like them without the tipper bars because when it squeezes them, it doesn't break them. But if we order them without the tipper bars, like I said, you can't use the other truck. That's what keeps it on the rack of the new truck, or the old truck. So
that little front bar?
yes, ma'am. The little metal bar in the middle.
That's where it gets picked up.
Yep. So, until you either go all automated or, when you have both, you have to kind of play the game with the cans. But wintertime is hard on the plastic. It just really is. It tears them up something fierce. So that's why we're in a shortage, because we did order a group this year. Normally we get through, but we'll get another one. We'll be fine. The drainage issue on Iredale, that project started today. Actually yesterday. They delivered equipment yesterday, but they began digging today. So by the end of this week, I would say that the road will probably be back open. Next week, probably paving and get it fixed. So there again, I'm going to have to give Heather credit for this. We just rearranged a little bit of money in the PAL bill from engineering services, street supplies, that kind of stuff. So it did not touch the paving part of the PAL bill to fix this problem. Let everybody know.
You better not.
It didn't touch any of the paving part.
You're in trouble if you are.
Well, yeah, I know. I stay in trouble with it. But we did. We shuffled some money around within the PAL bill to fix this problem because we want that road back open. And we get it. So, and the paving, to speak to the paving, I know we're going to do more patching this year, so we have the list together. We'll probably be bidding that in May. And the reason I want to do that is because it will lap into, hopefully the project will lap into next year. And then I can use unit cost on top of that, so I don't have to bid twice. And we can get more paving done. So we're kind of playing the logistics game at this point. But in the next month or so, we will be doing some bidding and get a lot of those projects out there. The only other thing, I know you like my note, the final CCAT promise. It is, we have received the 5,000, so we are done. That won't be on my report anymore, thank goodness.
And the live stakes are looking good.
And the live stakes are really putting out. I'm really impressed. Now we'll probably have to be thinning out some of the live stakes at this point.
It depends. It's pretty dry, so I don't know.
I know, but they did sprout. They really did. I was very impressed, and I think Chris Sloop was too. He was like, wow, that's a big turnout. So there again, some of those plants get very large. The two that the Silky Willow and the Dogwoods, the willows get pretty good sized trees. So we may have to thin some of those out as they get a little bit bigger. And just a quick update on the Chicken Springs Dam. We did get, we are in the process of getting another inspection from DEQ. Got confirmation of it. It will be Friday afternoon. So I know our engineer David responded today, so that does our dam safety. He will be present for the inspection along with Peter. Peter's going to be there, myself. So we'll have to see what they have to say and see. You said that's Friday? Friday. Mm-hmm.
What time? 2
o'clock.
I'll see you there.
Okay. We will be there. So the guys have been, they worked yesterday, today, made sure everything's cleaned up and the siphon's running, but the water level's so low right now that the siphon may not even be needed. We did pump it today just to make sure it would work, and it does work, but it won't last but a few minutes because the water level's so far down. I mean, it won't pull water with just a few minutes. So, it is operational. That's one of the things that they really want to see. So we can make it work for, a few minutes, but unless we get some rain, it's not going to. And I don't foresee it in the next few days. And some great news. The small flatbed truck that we use, we have spun a bearing in the engine.
That was sarcasm if you did.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, that wasn't great news, was it? We actually lost the timing chain last week in that truck, and so between Bill and Chad, they got everything put back together, and now we have no oil pressure on the high side, which means the engine is pretty much done. It's in one piece right now, which is good, because at least we get the core credit from the engine. So, not a bad truck for, a 93 model with 187,000 miles on it. So what we're looking at doing, that truck is irreplaceable to us. So we're looking at probably just putting an engine in it. So I will be talking to Heather again tomorrow. And we're going to see if we can't reroute some funding and that kind of stuff. But we're still trying to get prices on what it would be to put a short block in it, or, whatever we need to do. That's better than rebuilding what we have, because at least we get a warranty with it.
I think Steve talked about a big zoning review.
Yeah, I'm glad. So, money. But, like I said, the truck's irreplaceable to us. We use that truck for everything, from limb pickup to mulch delivery to everything. And, a $4,000 engine's cheaper than a truck.
Yeah.
And
You didn't like my solution though, huh? You didn't like my solution?
Yeah, Fred Flintstone on that truck just won't work too much. We'll go through a lot of boots.
We have some really strong legs.
Yeah, and we'll go through a lot of boots. So the brakes will still work. Kind of. As long as it's downhill. But so we'll be discussing that, and we'll have we'll come up with a solution. It'll be pretty easy as far as we can do all the engine swap in-house on something that size. So labor won't be involved. It'll just be what it costs parts.
It's a 1993.
93. 93. Chevrolet 3500. Big engine though. It's got a 450.
They don't make them like they used to.
No, they don't. And that engine's not hard to take in and out. To do the timing, we had it basically out anyway. But we had to verify, and any parts we put on it during that portion, other than the timing chain itself, which was like $30, everything else will be reused on the other engine. So it didn't really cost us anything. But yeah, when we didn't see oil pressure on the top side, that pretty much did it in. So, and we want to keep the core.
Do we have any idea, like, once we were to do that, what type of remaining life we could get out of that truck?
Oh, I foresee we can get another 100,000 out of it easy. I mean, the truck's is solid. The bed's solid, frame's solid. It's a good truck. It really is. We could hold on to that truck for a good while. And
by the time we're done with it, the Transportation Museum will want it.
Very true. Very, very true.
We just need to send you to some fire truck repair training. It seems like you really have an aptitude, and
Yeah, well, it's
like you don't do enough work for the fleet and the PD fleet and all the others.
The fire department's a little bit different. Their stuff has to be inspected once it's done. And I have none of that inspection. No, we can't go through a bubble gum fire truck.
I don't know though. He's got to be impressed with your 2x4 solution.
The 2x4 is pretty good. I'll have to say. Very good. Well, thank you.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you.
Oh, one question.
I wanted to make a comment and then ask a question too.
Okay.
The peace pole that has been reinstalled. The lady who had asked me about that forever came to me and said, "The peace pole is back up." Thank you so much.
It is back. So, it is back. And I have several residents that's asked about the trees. Replanting some trees, and that will be done. But we're going to do it in the fall. Right now is not the time to plant trees. Yeah. Unless you'd be there every day watering.
Well, we hope we get some rain before the fall.
Yeah, to soften the ground up a little bit. Okay, yes, ma'am.
Today I went down Newton Street to Whitehead, and there's a pretty good sized hole coming in the street down in the block before you get to Whitehead.
On Newton at the intersection?
It's before the intersection, but it's between Rowan and Whitehead, I think.
Oh, between.
I think it's. I don't know. I tried to.
It's on Newton though.
It's on Newton.
On Newton. Okay.
Before you get to Whitehead, you might want to take a look at that.
Okay, I'll take a look at it.
That was all. Well, I don't usually go down that street, but I did today.
Okay, I'll check it out and see what it is. No problem.
And maybe it's just a small hole.
Oh, well. Let's hope it's just an actual pothole.
Yeah.
Instead of going any deeper.
Yeah.
That would be a blessing at this point. For sure. All right.
Thank
Thank
you,
you all.
Joe.
Thank you.
All right, Heather with finance report.
Heather's sick of us already tonight. Look at her, she's like, "Whoa."
Yeah, my report, I'm just kidding. Just a few updates, bank reconciliations are up to date. We implemented the final step of the salary study that took effect on 3/23. And budget prep has begun in the new software because I couldn't get analytics from the old software updated in time. So we are winging it with it and calling on support, and we're learning as we go. So bear with us in that process, but we're going to make it through. You have my report. The only thing that I think I printed the right one out. I did want to just note a couple things on page number 5 is our stormwater grant. There's some reimbursements that have come in, so the number, it'll post in April, but I just wanted to let you know that $10,000 reimbursement has come in and $13,000 will be submitted. So we're almost at the end of using all of that grant. And I think that was really the only thing. And the CDBG, you know, that the requisitions 4 and 5 have been submitted, so that's a total of $214,000 that we should get back. I have to submit some more of the invoices for that. She couldn't read some of them whenever we sent them through, so. And other than that, that's all the updates. Do you guys have any questions about my report?
Any questions for it? You say that tonight, but it sounds like you've got work to do tomorrow. Due to Joel and others. All right, next is our active living report. Anna.
Good evening, Mayor and Board.
Good evening.
The Parks and Rec Advisory Board met on April 1st, and the main topic of, well, there are a couple of main topics of discussion, but developing a park inspection schedule, and they also discussed the Chicken Springs Dam a little bit. And then the first neighborhood walk was held on March 17th in partnership with the Transportation Museum. And Librarian McCraw at the Spencer Public Library had a Dr. Seuss themed program that had strong participation. And she also attended the Lexington Book Festival, and she made several connections there for future programming. Let's see, upcoming events include an open mic poetry and prose program on April 28th, and the summer reading program will begin in early June. I believe we're still waiting for notification on grant funding for the proposed children's play area, unless any developments have happened since April 1st, Joe. The play area for the park, are we still waiting to hear back on? Okay. Those are the main things.
Okay, great. Any questions on the active living report?
I have a question. What kind of play equipment are we talking about?
Joe?
Sorry to get you up.
We haven't heard from Joe tonight. We need to.
I know, wake him up.
Steve took all of his time. And apparently so did I.
So you're asking about the play area? So this is the project where we had received funding to potentially develop something in conjunction with the water fountain that would allow some play for small children in the park. And so we're looking at that as a site. The donors of the fountain have given us or have pledged $10,000.
And so we have applied subsequent to that pledge for a grant with the Robertson Foundation for an additional $15,000, I think. And that will allow us to develop a plan, include some play apparatus, some planting, just things for children to do in the park. And so we're waiting to hear the Robertson Foundation typically makes notifications just about this time of year. And so once we hear from them, we'll begin a process of working with the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, and then we'll have some public input and develop a design that is works with the existing park. The other grant, and I know you didn't ask about this, but I just thought of it as I was talking, is we're trying to obtain some additional funding for the installation of the Gateway Arch. And so we have a commitment from the Tourism Authority for a portion of that, and we're trying to attain additional funds. And we hopefully we'll know something about that really soon as well.
All right, let me ask you a question also with about the park. Did I see a drawing of like a trellis, a rounded trellis in the park over here near the water feature, or is that my misunderstanding?
I'm not aware.
You know what I'm talking about? A rounded trellis where you walk underneath it, plants grow over top of it.
I haven't.
No, it's an archway, but it's actually a trellis.
Yeah.
Maybe I looked at it wrong, but I thought there was going to be a trellis right there before you get to the.
No, but it's a great idea, though.
I
That could be incorporated into the design.
When Joe talked to us previously about before applying for a grant, I think the landscape architect that you met with had some other projects that may have incorporated some things like that.
Thank you for reminding me of that. I've communicated with a designer who had done the St. John's Children's Garden, and one of the elements of that garden is a willow live planting arch. Okay. And so that may be where, that was just one of the ideas that has been.
So no design yet, but
right.
I think one of the conceptual directions is more of a natural play area rather than, your plastic and metal play structure type thing, something more incorporating nature into the experience.
Okay, that's what I was thinking about. I didn't think you were going away from the theme as far as let me piggyback and ask you another question.
All right.
What is the holdup now on the 7th Street canoe and outpost out there? How do we stand on the erosion control from Rowan County?
So we have essentially completed our due diligence with the State Historic Preservation Office, Department of Environmental Quality, U.S. Fish and Wildlife, and we have hired an engineer, civil engineer, to prepare the floodplain development permit application, which is issued by the county. And I spoke with him about 2 weeks ago, and I hope that process is proceeding. I don't have a better update than that. It's just,
but we're still in the guidelines of not losing that grant.
Oh no, we're well within the parameters of the.
Back up to close us out, because there was one topic he wanted to discuss that we want to make sure we don't forget about. So one thing I want to point out, and folks have been asking questions, and you've seen signs, but we've got some answers from NCDOT about what all is going to be happening. They are working on a resurfacing project across the county that's going to be taking place between now and November, but there are several areas around the schools, including Whitehead, Jefferson, portion of Charles Street, Oakwood. Those areas will happen while schools are out this summer, so that'll be a time frame for that. But then there are other areas like Hawkinstown Road, even Highway 601 headed towards Moxville. There's areas all around this part of Rowan County that they're focusing on. They're resurfacing, and so everyone can look forward to that. But that'll be helpful improvement. They're also working on a pedestrian improvement project here in the heart of the town. Our intersections at 4th Street, 5th Street, and 6th Street will all have rebuilt pedestrian signals, more pedestrian buttons and signal crossings than the few we have right now. Also, the intersection of Long Street and Andrew Street and East Spencer is going to be having the same, it's part of the same project. So some good pedestrian improvements underway from NCDOT. So our Community Appearance Commission is excited to get geared up here in the next few months, and Mr. Miller may be mentioning a little later about their event coming up. Was that your plan? I don't want to steal your thunder.
It's down on my list.
Okay, I'll save the specifics about the event in a few weekends, but our next Talk of the Town event which will be a week from today. It'll be the April 21st Talk of the Town. The CAC is going to take the lead on that and help folks understand how to get involved in some of their activities and upcoming things. And then in May, they're looking to host the neighborhood walk in the community garden, which would be a neat opportunity as well. So I wanted to mention that. And Chief Lanning, if you'd like to come up, he has tossed out a neat idea around a junior firefighter program. Maybe something that is that our fire camp in the summer is something that could be a springboard for continuing from that into this idea. I wanted him to have a chance to share a little bit about that before we proceed further with studying this.
Yeah, so prior to me becoming the fire chief, we had a junior program. To what extent it was official, I'm a little unsure. But and a lot of this, I have to give credit to my son, who is now 14, and is fully aware that he can become a junior fireman at 14. So, in conversations with him at home, more than I would like to admit, even in trying to convince him to do something else with his life, having conversations, middle school to high school, not only for people that maybe aspire to be firemen, but just having a program that could be an outlet for mentorship and leadership, something positive in the lives of area children. Having people even outside of Spencer who have already expressed interest just at the thought of, hey, maybe we do this. So I know we had met last week, myself, Peter, and Anna, to explore. Granted, Corey has a pretty successful junior program, so seeing exactly how they do that, what's onboarding look like. And then Rowan Cabarrus Community Colleges has a junior program where it kind of just offsets training to where it wouldn't be something we'd have to tackle all by ourselves. We could do that in coordination with. And so if I was busy on a night and couldn't host these kids, then we can get them to the college and they can still get training and learn how to do the job all at the same time while, again, being in a positive environment. So that's the goal. Whether it feeds us one day or not, at least we can make a positive impact in the lives of some kids. So it'd be very well worth it.
Board, any comments, questions, feedback?
Certainly good for fire safety.
Absolutely.
I mean, yeah.
So it's a minimum age of 14, is that right?
14.
14
yes, sir.
to what?
18.
18.
Yes, sir.
Any cost to them or to the town as far as insurance
minimal,
and stuff like that?
Some of that we're still exploring, right? What does that look like? In my mind, an employee is not really a 14-year-old, right?
Yeah.
And so again, what's the correct way, what's the right way? Talking to the league and seeing exactly what their recommendations are.
Sorry, I will say I started working on our insurance renewal for this year, and there was something on there about junior program. I'm not sure how that will look, but that was on there.
That's good.
My grandson Wesley, who's 28 now, I think.
He thinks that.
Yeah. He did the junior volunteer fire thing through Spencer when he was in high school. And, he worked for the Spencer Fire Department until he moved down to that Miller's Ferry area. Yes. But he's still a fireman. in addition to his other job. So it does, help with recruiting firemen. And he was still very interested in it.
And it may be that we need to do our own historical research to figure out how we did it. At the time and what, what we did or didn't have in place to make it official. That's what we're not exactly sure of.
Well, I see this as a great opportunity, obviously, for just engaging the community. But then I think long term, right, I could see it taking the shape of, as kids get to graduation in high school, those that are interested in going to the fire service, there's an opportunity to have scholarships sponsored to send them through training. There's an opportunity for us to, like we've done with BLET, to send them through training and get them to commit to a contract with us for a duration coming out of that. So I think in a time when folks going into public safety is declining, this is a great idea.
Thank you.
So thank you. Thank Hunter for us for coming up with that idea.
Yeah, I'll do that. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Peter, anything else?
No, sir.
All right, we'll move to requests and comments by the mayor and board members. I'll remind board members that each of you are liaisons within the community to certain committees and things like that. And so this also presents a great opportunity for you to update us on the work you've been doing with those and anything we need to know from the various committees or organizations that you represent. So we will start with Ms. Sledge tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was still looking at some of the other things in the town manager's report about a spring fling. Is that something that's open to the public?
So we do have a group that has reserved. It is open to the public. There's a group, a local insurance agent associated with the state tow truck operators. They're going to have an event here on Saturday the 25th for kind of their association, but they're going to open up that for folks to come and check out tow trucks, and they're going to have some live music going. So there will be an event happening in the park, but it was done by this organization reserving the park for an event.
Thank you. I provided for each of our board members a copy of the executive board meeting highlights from the Central Atlanta Council. I'm the county's representative now to the council, so I'm helping to make decisions for not only our organization, but for those throughout the county. So you have that information I was asked to share with you. They also wanted to encourage for the meeting on May 13th, the Board of Delegates meeting for an open house, so you can go and learn about all the services that they have to offer. So if you're interested in more information about that, just touch base with me. But we have a lobbyist who is working with the federal government who is in contact with them, and they want to know if we have any upcoming engagements with our members of Congress to let their staff know, so that we can have talking points of things that are of interest throughout the region. We also have someone at the state level who is also speaking for us, and one of the things that we talked about at this last executive meeting was this process where the state legislatures are looking at tax reform for a property tax, and a letter has been drafted to let them know that one size fits all is not workable for small organizations and others too. So that letter has been sent to our individual representatives throughout the state. We had a lively discussion about that, where there are people down there who really don't understand exactly how small government works, who are trying to make decisions about putting referendum, putting something on a referendum to say, would you like to pay fewer taxes, property taxes? So, I mean, everybody's going to say, oh, that's great, but, they need to understand that the property taxes is what pay for fire and police and garbage pickup and those sorts of things. So we're working on education on that end of it too. I know that we need every bit of the revenue that we can get to increase our tax base so that we can give relief to our tax-paying citizens. But I also know, and I truly believe, that we're not going to see artificial intelligence go away. It's here to stay, and we have to make arrangements to be able to build that. And if we can have it in our area to increase our revenues, I think it's a good thing. And I'm willing to stick my neck out and say that. I am very grateful for the opportunity to be here and to represent the people of Spencer who have elected me. And if you have problems with me, you're certainly welcome to call and I will listen. I spent 45 minutes on the phone one night this week with a citizen who had some interest and some concerns. I spent about 20 minutes or so after the protest for no keyings speaking with a couple of our citizens from Spencer who had questions for me. And I'm always willing to listen. And when I listen, I take into consideration what you have to say and try to weigh that to come to the best answer as a whole for the better interest of this organization and for this community. So thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Seacrest.
Well said, Alderman Sledge. Just a couple reminders that we're on the last month of school. It's out on May the 20th. So there's going to be a lot of activities going on in the schools, a lot of testing, a lot of end-of-year events, and Pam and I have been working on getting in contact with the schools about the awards assemblies. The town will be presenting awards at the middle, the elementary, and the high schools. So we're excited about that, and they've already started on the engraving for the awards. And don't forget also that there is a car show at North Rand High School this Saturday that is supporting the school. So if you get a chance, drop by there and visit and get some of the things that they're going to be giving away. The kids have worked real hard on getting sponsorships. Community Garden Tea, sponsored by the Community Appearance Commission. The 25th, I think, it's the 26th, right, 26th, down here at the community garden beside the Presbyterian Church, so do try to come. It's always a lot of fun. And I think that's everything that I had.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Well, good evening again, everyone. I recently went to the Cabarrus Rowan MPO Transportation Advisory Committee meeting in Kannapolis on March 25th, and there was pretty much discussion of still waiting on budgets to be approved, of course, and you know I believe that's the holdup countywide. You know, in reference to some projects, some repairs. And there are also discussions of cost of living adjustments for single veterans. They talk about our Lone Ferry projects that we're doing, and basically everything is pretty much going to be tabled for the May 6th through 8th conference, and hopefully there'll be some changes for the budget by then, but who knows? We just wait and see what comes down the pipe. And then I also attended on April 9th the Transportation Advisory Board meeting here in Salisbury at the what's that, Station 3 over there by Haley.
Station. Yeah.
So they basically had a lot of discussion around the Connect the Transit program that's taking place here, the microtransit, as well as the connecting across Rowan cars for seniors. And basically they're trying to work out the glitches in reference to the cancellations of rides and just getting feedback from the residents. And more than anything, I believe that it's been very positive, and they're just working on ways to tweak the program so they can be more efficient, across the board. And right now, the numbers are pretty good as far as the cost that it's costing to run these programs. It's lower than what the rates are across the board as far as fuel and efficiency. So right now, we're doing pretty good across this county with that, and good to learn that the program that Catawba College is offering, their vehicles are electric. But again, it's a good program for our citizens, and a lot of them are taking advantage of it, and the people are being patient with the residents in reference to booking these rides and just communicating with them, sending them reminders and what have you to let them know that they are en route to pick them up. And the residents have been saying that the people that have been doing the rides have been very courteous to them. And of course, they're looking for volunteers to operate these vehicles as well. So, if you know anyone that's interested in giving back and offering rides to seniors in the community, they're looking for qualified candidates. But other than that, I want to thank the residents that were here that spoke at opening, public comment, and as well that are watching. And as Alderwoman Sledge stated, if anyone has any concerns or questions, feel free to come to myself or any of us here. We are here to serve, and hopefully we can come to a solution. And sometimes the solutions may not be smiled upon, they may not be frowned upon, but we're going to do what we can do for the betterment of this town of Spencer. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Muhammad. Mr. Miller.
Tonight, I'd like to thank Heather and her finance crew for all their hard work and everything. It sounds like they've done a real good job as far as that goes. I know hard work is yet to come as far as that goes, and I've been impressed the way she can jimmy the books a little bit to help out different department heads to get money as far as that goes. He's done a good job. I'd like to personally thank Joel and his team for helping move some garden soil into the community garden over on 2nd Street. We purchased the Community Appearance Commission are replacing all the wooden boxes in the garden, and we got new metal ones, and we had to have some soil brought in, and Joel and his crew helped move it, got it up from Godley's and moved it over there and helped shovel it in with me, and I appreciate what you did as far as that goes. And our Community Appearance Commission's big fundraisers this coming not this coming, but Sunday, the April the 26th from 2 to 4. It's our tea party. It's our big fundraiser. There will be a prize given for the best, I guess you'd say, Easter bonnet or whatever you want to wear as far as that goes. So if you would like to participate, we'd love to have you there. Like I said, this is the big fundraiser for our community garden. This money goes back into our garden as far as buying stuff that's like the soil that we purchase and the boxes and everything else. So come out and support us. That's Sunday afternoon from 2 to 4.
Steve, I think you could raise a lot of money if you and I auctioned off us wearing Easter bonnets.
I've got one.
Well, then the rest of us probably don't even need to put on a hat.
That's right. Don't even worry about it.
I got to protect the top of my Easter bonnet sounds great.
Yeah, I have the same problem.
Thank you, Steve. Miss Moody.
Okay, we all know it's April, among many other wonderful things. It is Child Abuse Prevention Month.
I've got my pen.
You've got, thank you. Pass that pins. We just like to recognize, and I think it's important for us here because we care about our community to understand the facts that 1 in 7 children will experience sexual abuse. 90% of people who abuse children are well known by the child. So as much wonderful work as we do around stranger danger, that's not actually touching the problem much anymore. If you were unaware, North Carolina is a mandated reporting state, which means that we are all legally required at the age of 18 to report concerns. A misconception is that it is not our job as citizens to provide proof. We just need to have a reasonable concern and report that to the appropriate people, such as social services and our law enforcement agency, who are trained to find the proof. And lastly, I'd just like to remind everyone that child abuse occurs in every community and can happen in families of any income, education level, and background. And as always, if you have any questions, while I am no longer our backup schools and children person, it is my passion and profession in life, and I am always available if you have questions or concerns about the welfare of a child, or you just want to learn more about how to be a good steward, because it really does take a village, and we here in Spencer are lucky that our village is very strong. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Moody. Ms. Stanley.
Well, I'm sorry, Aaron, that I took that position as liaison for the school.
I think it's great that we have that many people interested in it. It's good.
But to echo Alderwoman Seacrest, we have been in contact with the school system and the principals to get together with the awards. As my new position, I have engaged myself with a couple of the local business owners to introduce who I am, and to find out if they had needs or concerns, and gave my information for them to reach back out to me. Thus far, there was nothing, which is a good thing. I would like the other PS at the very end. I want to stick my neck out as well. And I'm going to get on my mayor's soapbox as well, because I want to see growth in this community. And if you don't change, then we'll always stay in it, and we can't go forward if we don't want to see change. So change is inevitable, and it's sometimes uncomfortable, and those decisions have to be made. But I want to say this. Goodbye snow and goodbye ice. Welcome spring. It's really nice.
I cannot breathe, Pam.
I'm so sorry, but I'm so glad the snow is gone. And I just enjoy the summer. I want to thank all of those who work for the town of Spencer, the police department, the fire department, sister, I'm thinking church, Anna, Joel, Public Works. I just want to thank everybody, because you guys do such a wonderful job in making me feel encompassed by family. So I thank you guys for that.
Thank you very much. All great stuff. I'll speak on a couple of items this evening. One, I mentioned on Thursday of last week that we were going to be hosting the mayors from around Rowan County and some county officials as well. We had a very, very positive meeting, very positive dialogue. It was great to get to talk through issues that impact each of our municipalities on the county level. I will say the one issue that we brought up related to SROs in all the elementary schools. That is a goal of the county and the school system to do that. And I will say that the result of that meeting was very, very positive. And I'm not going to spoil it, because I know the school system will be issuing a press release here soon to kind of outline all of that. But the good news is they will be funding SROs in all of the elementary schools. And as far as impact to our local officers, there should be no negative impact at all. So good news there. And I think it goes a long way to say that when we sit down and we talk about issues and we express our concerns and try and work through solutions, that usually ends in positive things, and it did in that case. So all good news there. The other thing I want to point out, first of all, I want to thank Mr. Miller, because I caught him in action once again.
What did I do this time?
Yeah. He was at it again. Peter and I had the opportunity to show several local developers around that are interested in getting involved in Spencer. And we basically gave them a walking tour of downtown. And what I will say is they were already interested in Spencer. And when we walked them around, they became even more interested with lots of ideas and really a commitment to do at least one of the projects that they have an idea on, which will benefit our downtown as far as redevelopment. But while we were walking around, our board member, Mr. Miller, was working, weeding, doing work in our raised flower beds along Salisbury Avenue, and I was able to point out just how committed our board members are to this town. And so, Steve, thanks for being a great ambassador for our town and all the work that you do. Appreciate it.
I think Linda runs him out.
Well, I always knew she was a smart lady. The other thing I wanted to point out is it is time for our annual review of our manager. And so we will plan to do that next month at our pre-agenda meeting. That would be May the 7th. May the 7th. So what I will be doing is I will, here in the next week, we'll be sending out materials to each of you, similar to how we've done in the past. Ms. Stanley, this will be your first time, but basically it'll be a survey with open-ended feedback to provide. And then what we will do is we will meet with Peter in closed session that evening. Peter, does that work for you?
Yes.
If not, we can adjust and do something different.
May 7th, that's gonna be that baseball game down at.
You are correct. It is.
But I don't know if anybody's going to that ball.
So the other alternative is to do it the following evening, on the night of our regular agenda meeting. Unfortunately, I will be out of town for a work conference that evening, so I will not be able to be at the regular meeting for May.
There you go. I'll do, if we have to do that, I'll do a better job than I did last year.
The other
I wasn't
option
perfect
is that
last
we
year.
simply call a special meeting
Yeah.
for a different time to go through that in closed session.
I don't have a preference. I just
Who all
do
is
it up.
planning to go to that,
The baseball
the
game.
baseball game?
I haven't
baseball
registered for it.
I'm signed up, but
Okay.
it doesn't mean anything to me.
Well, I don't
signed
want
up as well.
to, I don't want to. Correct, we'll be coming back from city. Yeah.
Why don't you just go ahead and do it, the pre-agenda?
Are we sure?
I think that probably.
Peter, were you gonna try and go to the baseball game?
Rocco has a baseball game that night at 5:30, but I was already not going to be able to make that game. So,
I mean, the other option is that we push it to June. We can certainly do that.
yeah, whatever works for
The
the
key
board
is
as
we
a
need
whole.
to get
So,
it in this fiscal year. Technically, we do it in April, May, but we can always push it.
When will we have the budget work?
we're targeting the May regular meeting for the budget, but
Okay.
it's not.
For the
Sometime
administrative
in May is
session.
when we will recommend that, but which would typically be at the regular meeting.
The regular May meeting will be on the 12th. Yeah, okay. I mean,
If we do it in June, we can wait until he presents his budget, and then we can have that to go off of.
Boy, you're really getting entertained by that, Steve.
There you go. Makes sense.
wait just a minute.
Yep.
Right, there's, okay, that may be, is there, when cities, I've got something on that date, but it's North Carolina League of Municipalities. That
City
would
Vision.
be-
In May,
May 5th.
Yeah, but.
Yeah, that's City
But I've
Vision.
got that on the 7th, that's not right, is it?
it ends on the 7th, but it ends at like lunchtime.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So we
So
come
the other
back.
option would be if we did it in June, the pre-agenda meeting for June would be Thursday the 4th, and the regular meeting would be Tuesday the 9th. You want to do it June the 4th?
Fine with me.
Peter, how does that work for you?
Yep, that would be fine.
The Savannah Bananas are in Charlotte, but I don't have tickets.
You're an encyclopedia.
All right, so
Savannah
June
Savannah
4th.
Bananas.
Regardless,
June
I'm
4th.
going to go ahead and send that information out so that
That's
y'all can start
pre-agenda.
that process.
Okay.
Okay,
June 4th,
Okay.
yep,
it's the manager's review.
correct. Following our pre-agenda, we'll go into closed session and do that. Okay? All right. The only other thing that I had was I appreciate folks sticking your neck out. sometimes I feel like we don't do that enough. Obviously, our job is to advocate for our community, for making our community a better place and advocating for our citizens. And when we advocate, we're going to unfortunately alienate some folks, recognize that, and sometimes make folks unhappy that maybe don't realize what they're fighting against, or fighting for that matter. And so, I think at the end of the day, my point is we were elected by Spencer citizens to make Spencer a better place. And we have to consider things through that lens as to what's going to be to make Spencer better. I also think, it is a fair point to say that we've got to consider all ramifications and potential impacts and things like that. But at the end of the day, we're here to serve Spencer. And so that's what we've sworn an oath to do when we were brought into office. The other thing I will say is just these days, in this day and age, and just political turmoil that we seem to be in, I'll tell you, I'm for intelligence, even if it is artificial. Intelligence, whether it's real or artificial, is a lot more than a lot of what we see these days. So I just appreciate intelligence one way or the other. And I do think, I think a lot of the artificial intelligence thing is that it is an unknown. It's something new. And there are a lot of people that are scared of it. And I'll be honest, I am too, of the long-term ramifications. There is a lot of good, though, to be brought from it. And I think there's some concerns with it, too. But at the end of the day, we're not here to fight philosophical battles and existential crises. We're here to take care of Spencer and help our community grow, help preserve the integrity of our community. And by golly, we're here to fix the problems that our citizens have brought to us. And as I mentioned earlier, we've heard some recurring concerns year over year over year, and we try desperately every year to take care of those and address those issues, but we always run short on money one way or the other. And there comes a time that we've got to stop putting it on the backs of our individual citizens. And we've had to do that because of the lack of industry. Spencer was established as an industrial town, a working community. And so you've got to have that mix, and we haven't had that mix for many years. Since the closure of the finishing company and since the closure of Southern Railway and Spencer shops. So it's a new opportunity. We definitely need to go into these type of opportunities eyes wide open, but at the end of the day, making decisions that are best for moving our community forward. So that's my soapbox. That is all I have for this evening. And with that, we have reached the end of our agenda, and we'll adjourn with a motion.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Motion by Ms. Stanley. Second. Second by Ms. Sechrist. All in favor? All right, all opposed? We stand adjourned. Thank you all.